Look, these are all my presentations and videos in regards to how to build a family business, so I really hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. I'm gonna tell you step by step, if I had started my family business from scratch today in 2024, what exactly I would do to further help myself be able to build $100,000 a year, be able to make multiple six figures, and on. So if you want to learn those type of things, tap in. And I want you to know that this is something, everything I'm saying right here is completely legal, nothing you have to worry about on the ethical side. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So I'm going to break these things down in 3 different stages. Okay, so stage 1 is going to be find, stage 2 is going to be fund, and stage 3 is going to be fortify. Okay, so let's start with stage 1. Stage 1 is find. All right, so this is the 3 F's that we like to break down within anyone that is wanting to build generational wealth, that is wanting to build a family business. These are the exact steps you want to do. Stage 1 is find. This is where we actually have to find your family business that you actually want to start. Okay, so first thing we need to do is do something called an industry selection. This means that we need to pick the actual industry that you are wanting to be a part of, that agree with you and the family. If it's just you as the family, cool. But usually it's you and another person that's a part of the family. But if it's you, like I said, it's not a big deal. But you want to pick a industry that correlates and resonates with you and your family's values and traditions, right? And so how do you know the values and traditions? Before, of course, that you go through stage 1, you have to do something called a family identity. This is something that we highly suggest you do. We talk about more in detail within our actual Family Empire program, but I'll give you a tidbit here. This is where you would do your core values. You would write your core values, you would write your traditions, and where this would be housed is within your family constitution. Okay, so you would build your family constitution, and with that family constitution, you will house your core values and traditions. And when you know your core values and traditions, this is where you're actually able to know, when you're finding your family business, what business aligns with your values and traditions, because this is what's going to allow your family business to last longer than you all, because everybody's going to be based off what you created, which is your values and traditions. So everything is based off your values and traditions. Okay, your company, the way you move, the way you operate, every single thing. Okay, so, and I got notes here just to make sure that I'm not tripping. So the next thing, right, is you want to also start developing your offer. Okay, and what I mean by developing your offer is you want to understand within this current family business, what are the current problems that your person is currently facing, and then write those solution to those problems in a how-to statement. And if you want more details on how exactly to write and create your own offer, I actually have an offer creations video. It'll be somewhere up on this screen, and I'll tag it. You want to do offer creation. Okay, so you want to make sure that you create your own offer. The next thing you want to do when finding your family business within stage 1 is product market fit. So this means that you want to make sure that you have one product, one avatar, and one channel. Now, if you're wondering what this means, one product means this is the one thing that I'm selling, nothing else, to my audience. One thing that I'm selling. Then one avatar, meaning who am I selling to, and I'm only having one person that I'm selling to. So for example, our one product is our Family Empire program, and our one avatar is you, families and first generation wealth builders. That's all housed in one, right? Because usually the people that are families are first generation wealth builders. So families, if you want to be more specific, are our avatars. The channel that we're using this in, now mind you, I've gone and picked things up a lot more, and I've already done this process, so I have a lot more channels, but the primary channel that we focused on initially was Instagram. So Instagram is our one primary channel. Right now, you don't need multiple at this moment in time. I would just suggest you just focus on one, and if you want to use 2, do one that's Instagram, one that's YouTube, one for short form and one for long form, so that you can make sure that you're not only grabbing their attention but keeping their retention. Okay, so that is pretty much stage 1, which is finding the actual business that you want. You want to do an industry selection, you want to create your offer, and then you also want to make sure that you're testing this offer within the market to see if this is something that they actually want. Okay, next thing you want to do, stage 2, is fund. Okay, this is where you actually want to fund your family business, because even though you have a business doesn't mean that you actually have money to actually keep it up. Within the first 5 years, a business goes out of business because of lack of capital. Okay, so let's solve this. First thing we're going to do is we need to do a credit stacking assessment, all right, or a credit stacking sequence, and you can Google these things on how exactly to do this. Of course, our community, we do it a bit differently, but if you want the basics, then you can, I'll create a video, honestly, on how to create a credit stacking sequence and everything. But what you would do is, the goal here is to get $25,000 to $50,000 in funding easily within your family business. Okay. And what does that mean? If we can get it for one person, guess what? We're going to get it for each and every single family member. Okay. So you only need bare minimum one, but what if all 3 or 4 of you had good credit? That's when we start getting into the family credit side, the beginning stages of family credit. Okay. Now, the massive part of family credit is leveraging this on the business side and getting more on the family credit on the business, because it's unlimited amounts of credit on that end. But we want to start getting it within the personal side, where we get you bare minimum 25 to 50,000, so we can help you establish, start, and market your business. Okay. So you're probably wondering, well, Marcus, what if I don't have a 680 credit score? Because that's how much you minimum need in order for you to actually do the credit stacking sequence. Great question. First thing you need to do is, it's going to be broken down in 2 stages. First thing is, you need to repair your credit. And I got some steps here to help you repair your credit. First thing is, you need to use AI credit software sequence. We're actually going to be coming out with our own AI credit repair software, but you want to have an AI credit repair software. Second thing, if you don't have one, learn consumer laws. And even if you do have one, still learn consumer laws, learn Metro 2 compliance, and you want to learn arbitration so you can sue these people when you need to. Okay. So you want to learn those 3 things so you can actually learn step by step how to repair your credit and know, not just copy someone else. Okay. You need to be able to know what they're talking about. So learn those 3 things, learn how to write letters, and then you'll be able to 100% be able to repair anybody's credit, including your own. Second thing, second part, when it comes to the funding section, when it comes to credit, repairing your credit, is now it's credit building. Okay. We need to actually build your actual credit. Okay, I have some things here to help you do that as well. So you want to have a mixture of credit between 10 and 12 accounts. So you want to have installments, revolving, car, house, secure credit cards. Then once you have those things secured, then you can start getting into, your unsecured credit cards on the personal side, then getting into the business cards on that side. So that's really how we start getting that situated. So you want to start repairing your credit, which takes 6 to 12 months. I want to set that expectation now. Then building your credit takes 3 to 6 months. So make sure that you have those things in place. And while you are actually setting this up, if you don't have an LLC, set your LLC up as you're doing this. Okay, so that you can also get some age as you're doing this. Or if you don't want to worry about the age part, go ahead and buy a shelf corp that has minimum 2 years on it, so that you can actually buy age instead of worrying about establishing age. Okay, and I would actually do both, to be quite honest. So this is stage 2. This is what you do in stage 2. Now, stage 3 is where we start focusing on fortifying the business. Okay, so find, fund, and fortify. We're going to start fortifying it. And the way that we're going to fortify this is we're going to break it down in 2 different sections again. Okay, first thing was, we need to establish the entities. Okay, so you need an LLC, you need a business trust. These are things that you actually need, and not just a regular statutory business trust or a regular living trust. What you want to do is you want to get you an unincorporated private business trust. Okay, now this business trust depend on your income level, your assets, all these things. If you don't have a lot of income, if you're about 40,000 and below, 50,000 and below, I would recommend a revocable. If you are making 6 figures, I would say roughly 2,000, 150, 2,000. I would do an irrevocable, because now you have a bit more assets, you have a bit more income to be able to take care of those tax implications with an irrevocable trust. With a revocable trust, you don't pay taxes as you go while you're alive. But with an irrevocable trust, there are taxes, internal taxes, that are involved when developing an irrevocable trust. Okay. Now, with that EIN number, business, create a business account on each one of those. You want to have a trust, a S Corp or C Corp, an S Corp if you do not have partners, a C Corp if you do, and then all your subsidiaries up under that. That's kind of like how you would do that. Okay. Now, act like you're establishing business credit. If you don't know, I have a video somewhere up here, or I'll create one. Once you establish those things, you'll have everything up and running. Second thing is automating the business. Okay. We need to make sure to hire the right people for your business so you can take care of so you can just live more of your life, spend more time with the family, travel more with your family, have more retreats, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to install systems and people. Okay. And when we install those systems and people, they're going to be running the marketing, the sales. At first, of course, this is during the transition part that I'm mentioning this. They're going to be handling the marketing and sales, but before you start hiring those people, you need to know how to do it first. Okay, so your work capacity may be different. You may be working a job, you may be working over hours to make sure that this business is up and running. And that's fine. We need to show you that it works, then we can get you up and running and delegating those things to hiring those people, okay? So that's pretty much what you do here. So that is step by step, y'all, on if I were to start from scratch. And when it comes to building a family business, that is exactly what I would do. I would find the business, fund the business, and then I would fortify the business. If you want more information on how exactly we're able to establish this in way more detail, there's a link in the description below for you to actually apply to work with us so we can actually show you more in detail what exactly that we do so we can actually help you out. All right, it took me 6 years, spending $50,000 with multiple mentors and going broke twice in order for me to actually teach you this information. So before you come at me, this isn't one of those Dave Ramsey 7 steps type of thing, but there are some principles that I do like from Dave Ramsey that I will implement in our stuff. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so this is what we like to call the 7 legacy steps, okay? So now, of course, you know the baby steps, right, with Dave Ramsey, but there is a bit of a nuance when it comes to ours because we're more catering towards family business owners and getting you to the next level as fast as possible, okay? So step number 1 is I want you to actually start family legacy meetings. This is so important. You have to have family legacy meetings to 1, strengthen the bond between your family because this is one of the reasons, and 2, be able to have hard conversations so you can actually take you and your family to the next level. So that means talking about credit. Who has the best credit? Who doesn't have the best credit? How can we get that person to have the best credit? What mentors or books or courses we need to get or read in order to get that person to the next level or get the whole family to the next level if you all have bad credit, okay? This is the key thing. You need to have hard conversations. Bad credit comes from lack of money management. You have poor money management skills, and that's unfortunately what it is. And that's, I'm sorry to even put it like that. You have poor money management skills. We all did it. I did too. So I'm just letting you know from personal experience what this family legacy meeting will prove and we'll talk about. So you want to set goals. You want to actually do everything. If you want the actual agenda, I can make a totally separate video on the exact agenda you need in order to do that and actually run your family legacy meeting, because you have to go through, you know, your wins. You have to go through your previous quarter goals or this quarter goals, your previous week goals, this week goals, all these things that you need in order to actually prepare and have a successful family legacy meeting. That's step number 1. Pick a date, pick a time every single week and have a family legacy meeting with at least 2 or more people. Okay. Step number 2 is you and your family through this family legacy meeting need to actually start up a $1,000 emergency fund each, not total. So if you have 2 people in your family legacy meeting, you need $2,000. If you have 4 people in your legacy meeting, you need $4,000. Okay. So what you're doing is you're creating a pool of money and you're creating an emergency fund for just in case purposes. All right, this is just the bare minimum. This is what I really did like from Dave Ramsey, because I do agree that you actually do need to have $1,000 emergency fund just to keep yourself afloat if a tire blows out, if something else goes. Because if you just pay debt and your tire blows out, then you have no money because everything went towards debt. So what you need to do is actually have $1,000 emergency fund just in case. Okay, and you want to put that in a high yielding savings account. That can be in Vero Money. I like Vero Money and I like Wealthfront. Those have very high yieldings or high yield percentages when it comes to those things. So you want to have those actual accounts separate from your bank account. You want to have automatic transfer to those bank accounts so it does not touch your money and it's very hard to get access to them. Okay, so that is step number 2. Step number 3 is you want to eliminate your debt. All right, this is where you start. You can pick whichever one, Snowball or the other one. I can't remember what it is. Lowest to highest, highest to lowest. This is something that you want to actually implement because you may have high utilization with your credit. The key thing here with these steps is to get you from $0 to $10,000 plus unlimited funding. Okay, this is where you actually get yourself to the goal, at least $25,000 of funding after these 7 steps. Okay, so you want to pay off all your debt, all of your debt, swipe it clean, except of course the mortgage, which I do agree with Dave Ramsey. There's no reason why you need to be paying off the mortgage right now. You just need to be paying off credit card debt, personal loan debt. You may have some things that you need to pay off with some friends, right? Whoever, pay those things off. Okay, now the 4th one, right, is you actually want to create a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. This is also a thing that I highly suggest nowadays, 6 to 12 months, because of how inflation is moving, right? So you want to create a 6 to 12 month emergency fund so you can make sure that you are taken care of. If anything happens, you are squared away. Okay, so a 6 to 12 month emergency fund is super important when it comes to building generational wealth, because that allows you to guard yourself against uncertainty. The issue of why people are pushing and hustling is because they're in survival mode. If you were to have $1,000 emergency fund, pay off all your debt, and actually have 6 to 12 months of expenses, you are no longer in the uncertain stage, and you're no longer in survival mode because you have everything taken care of. Okay, so that's the key thing. The next thing after you have your 3 to 6 months is you want to kind of do 4 and 5 at the same time. Is you want to start achieving a 680 credit score. Okay, minimum. I would say 720, 700, but minimum get a 680 credit score. This is where you have no derogatories. You have all accounts are accurate, taking off all of your personal addresses, right? Having a mixed amount of accounts on your credit report, right? And personal names. And you're having there's a lot of different things. The ideal credit report is very simple. You want to make sure that you have no derogatories, no mixed information, no inaccuracies. You want to have at least 3, max 4 inquiries, and you want to have at least 11 to 12 mixed accounts. That's like mortgage, car note, all these things is what you want to have in order to actually gain a 680 credit score. And of course, you are already paying off your debt, so that should be already squared away. So you should have a 680 credit score. Delete all the late payments, dispute whatever you need to do, because that is where you will have to build that 680 credit score, which will allow you to get $25,000 in funding ASAP if you go through some of the credit unions that I'll mention in another video. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about, number 6. This is super important. You have funding, you're working the 9 to 5, you have $25,000 in funding, you have emergency fund, you have no debt. Right now we're talking about creating an insurance policy in your name. Now this is debatable, and it being the 6th step, you can possibly do it earlier if you want to, but this is the key thing. When you have an insurance policy, the reason why people mostly don't have insurance policies is because they still got to worry about other things. They don't want to add on additional bills on top of the bills that they already have, right? So this is why I put this at number 6. An insurance policy, if you want to start early, I highly suggest you to get a convertible term policy, which means you can convert this to a permanent policy later on. But if you're going through this order and you're starting from number 6, you should be at a great stage to be able to get a permanent life insurance policy. Okay, so that's either you getting a whole life or an IUL. If you want to start low, you can get an IUL, which is an index universal life insurance policy, which means that this is for when you're alive. A term policy is when you pass. Okay, so you want to make money while you're alive, so this is where you're actually able to do that. Here's a hack that you can use. You can leverage $25,000 in funding, liquidate that, put that into your life insurance policy, put $25,000 in there. 30 days later, withdraw that, because now you have over $200,000 in your permanent life insurance policy. Take out that $25,000, then do step number 7, which is invest into a business. Start or buy a business, and you want to make sure that you hit minimum $10,000 a month. Okay, so this is where you leverage that $25,000. I believe you can only take out 85%. So what you have to keep some in there. So let's do the math real quick. 25,000 times 85%. Let's do this. 25,000 times 85% is $21,250. So let's just say 21,000. You take out $21,000 and then you put that in and buy a business. Oh my God. Buy a business that's already making $10,000 a month, that already has employees, that already has these things. Or you could start a business, but you want to make sure that you start the right business that has the right offer, that you're guaranteed to make $10,000 within your first 3 to 6 months. Okay, if you can do that, because the credit card that you have that you liquidated, you don't have to pay interest for the first 3 to 6 months. How? I'm going to show you in another video. But the key thing here is you're allowing your business to grow over 3 to 6 months. And actually that 25,000, if I'm gonna be honest, and before you even start buying businesses, is you need to invest in a mentor. Okay, invest in a mentor that actually is doing the thing that you want to do, and then leverage that money to then buy or start a business that with their guidance. Okay, that is the best route. This is our 7 legacy steps. This is how you're actually able to build wealth and take yourself to the next level if you follow all these 7 steps. And if you want to learn more about how to actually do this, we actually have a free workshop that shows you exactly how to create a family business, because what you're doing is you started the family business with yourself at ground zero. This is what we like to call step 0 Genesis. And now if you want to actually start showing other people how to do this, you can actually go to our free workshop and we will show you exactly how to implement it within your own personal family. So I hope this helps, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out. In 2023, I've literally lost $120,000 of potential earnings from not implementing these 2 things that I'm going to be breaking down in this video. And what's crazy is that one of them is not really taught in our culture, and we're always capped at something. So I'm gonna really break this down, so let's get right into it. What's going on, fam? Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 2 ways to actually start a 6-figure business, and I'm going to show you how we can do this with making 10K a month in 12 months or less. Okay, and I'm going to show you here in this video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick so that you can actually get an idea of how exactly we do this. So how we do this is very, very simple. There's 2 ways to actually build a business. Okay, and the 2 ways that we actually build a business is, 1, you can either start a business, or 2, you can actually buy a business. Okay, and buying business, like I mentioned, is something that we don't often talk about in our culture, right? It's not something that's discussed. So I'm going to break down all of this on this call. Okay, so starting a business, we always know about starting a business. This is nothing new. We see it all the time on social media. And so starting a business, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons, or really just what it takes to actually start a business. Okay, so when it comes to starting a business, what do I mean by actually starting a business? All right, so what I mean by starting a business is building on social media, having an online presence, building an online business. Okay, and this isn't like drop shipping or affiliate marketing or sponsorships. This is what we're referring to as starting an online business on your Instagram or YouTube, just like what I'm doing here, right? To actually build personal branding. Okay, so this is about personal branding. All right, now the key thing about starting a business is that you have very low risk. It takes you really no capital to get started, right? So there's really no risk, but there's high amounts of time. It takes a lot of time to build a personal brand. But the greatest part about actually doing this, even though it's low risk and high time, is that you're able to build intense business. Like, think of The Rock, how he was able to come out with a tequila brand and it became one of the biggest tequila brands in the world. Think of Kylie Jenner, who was able to come out with a makeup line, or Rihanna, who came out with a makeup line, and now they're both billionaires, all from their personal brand. Right? So starting a business is something that is actually very, very lucrative, right? The only issue is that you actually have to learn something called lead gen. You know what I'm saying? You actually got to learn how to generate leads. You got to actually learn how to get attention, right? Now, like I mentioned, this costs you no risk, but it also can cost you little to no money, okay? So you don't really have to, you really could start this for free. YouTube is free. Instagram is free. It costs you nothing to actually film on these platforms by using your current phone. If you're going to talk about what it costs, maybe it costs you your phone bill, but that's something you would have paid for regardless, right? So it literally costs you no money. Now, the pros and cons when it comes to starting a business is that most people have an issue with, what should I start with? Should I start with my passion, or should I start with something that's making me money? Right? Should I go with what's making me money, or should I go with my passion? Well, the answer is not really, the hardest. I mean, I would say that it's pretty difficult to kind of make a decision depending on the skill set, right? If I'm saying that I'm going to make, coverings on a book, I don't know how lucrative that business is, but it may not be something. I may be passionate in it, but it may not be something that'll give me money, right? Back in the day, a starving artist was real. You wanted to be an artist, but the issue though is that artists weren't really making income back in the day 20 years ago, right? But now they're making income now. So that passion can make money. So you got to make a decision, on these options. You got to really count the time, right? You got to be able to be like, okay, which one should I do? Right? That's the pros and cons of starting a business, that you have to pick. Should I do my passion, or should I do this for money? I think you should do it for both, if I'll be honest, and I'm gonna tell you why. But another thing here, you can make 10K a month starting a business, y'all, in like 12 months, right? It may take a little bit more depending on how good you are, how you listen to your audience, a lot of different things. You could make 10K a month in 12 months or less, right? If you really were, it's been proven. If you really want to take your time on this, if you really want to commit to it, it's been proven several hundreds of times that people can change their lives in 12 months, okay? Now, the key thing here is that you have to be able to put in the time, and you have to be able to put in work when it comes to personal branding, okay? You have to be able to do this. And it's all about this amazing word called consistency, okay? As you all seen on my channel, I've been a lot more consistent. I've been posting on a consistent basis. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are consistent in regards to everything, so you can get to this 10K a month goal, right, within 12 months. And it may take you more than 12 months, right? But if we can get it down in 12 months, then that's the goal, right? Now, let's talk about buying a business. We talked about starting a business, which takes a lot of your time. It's low risk. It costs you nothing, all these amazing things. But buying a business, no one talks about how to buy a business. Okay, so the greatest part about buying a business is that you don't need to have a personal brand. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be involved, right? And it's arguably that depending on the business that you buy, that you don't also have to have high amounts of involvement or time within the business. Now it's high risk and may cost you, money depending on how you structure the deal, how you structure the business or when you're acquiring it, right? But it may not. But I know it'll cost you high risk because this is something that you have to put in, some form of work, maybe sweat equity in, depending on that what that is, and that may cost you time, right? But at the end of the day, you don't have to be involved in the business. It already comes with employees. It already comes, and I don't know why I couldn't spell right there. That was crazy. It already comes with employees. It already comes with systems, right? You don't have to worry about lead gen because they've already solved that problem, right? Right. So, and the great thing is that if you choose, depending on how you structure the deal, you also don't even have to have any money down, right? The only thing you may have to pay for is maybe like attorney fees, right? Let's be honest, you may have to pay for attorney fees, but picture this: if I spend a couple $1,000s on attorney fees to be able to make 10K a month in 30 days or less, because that's what I'm buying. I'm buying the actual cash flow of the business. The business is already cash flowing me $10,000 a month. Then I would gladly pay 3,000 to get 10,000, right? And the greatest part is that you can buy your passion. And that can make you money. You don't have to decide, oh, should I buy a business or should I not buy a business? Should I not buy a business. Should I go with my passion or should I not go with my passion? You don't have to worry about that. You can just buy your passion. That's already cash flowing you 10K a month, right? And so picture you spending 3 to 5K on attorney fees, and then you acquire a 10, 20K a month business on the spot, then guess what you can do? You can then, now that this business has been cash flowing for, let's say, 5 years, guess what you can go to? You can go to the bank and get you get you funding with no PG. Ooh, I just gave y'all some game. You could go to the bank because it already has 5 years of history of it making money, y'all. So you don't even have to worry about, oh, how do I get funding? This is how people don't use credit. This is why I say that this is what's not used within our culture. Like, you could acquire a business, you can buy a business and not worry about credit anymore. Because you could just use the income that's being made from that business to go get the funding that you want. And guess what? Both of these, no matter what's going on with both of these particular businesses, obviously both of these are going to go up under a trust. And eventually I would suggest you do both instead of picking one or the other. I would have you start a business and buy a business. This year we've already, I would say actually it was 2022 when we bought our first business. We actually didn't know what the hell we were doing. I'm not gonna lie to you. We bought a shout out page, and that's buying a business because that business was making money, right? The other thing that we bought was this year actually is we bought a weight loss clinic. Or my mom wanted a weight loss clinic, so we bought a weight loss clinic, right? So that's something that we've actually been in the works and been doing this entire time. Now we're buying and acquiring even more businesses so that we can, get things off the ground so that we don't even have to worry about credit. The issue with starting business, y'all, you need funding eventually to start the business. There's the reason why people, they don't last in business after like 5 years or even a year is either two things. It's either effort or funding. You either aren't putting in enough work or you don't have enough capital. That's why your business actually fails. But with buying a business, I'm not saying you don't need, you do got to put the effort in, but you don't need the funding. You don't need to worry about, lack of capital. That's what you don't need. Right? And they already have systems and processes in place where you don't even have to worry about messing those things up. And you can, and let's say this is you bought an existing business. They already had employees in this business. So now you became the new owner of the business. Guess what? You don't even have to become the owner. You could hire an owner to run this business for you, and you are now called a chairman. Ooh, did y'all just see that? Did y'all just hear what I just said? You don't even have to run the business. Now the owner runs the business with these employees here, and now you're just the chairman running, let's say, multiple businesses and hiring multiple owners for each business. So like this is how people are actually generating income. And guess what? Each business could generate you on no PG about 100K additionally in funding. So now you bought a business for 10K a month. That's already, so that's already 120K a year. Then you're able to get 120K in funding the next day you get the actual business. When you acquired the business, you can get funding the next day. I'm not playing with you. The next day of you buying and acquiring that business, you could go to the bank and get 50 to 100K in funding, and now you've turned a let's say you worked a 9 to 5. Let's say you're a 9 to 5 kid, right? Let's be real. Let's say you're a 9 to 5 kid. Let's say you're a server, right? And you make, let's say, 50K a year, right? You make 50K a year, which is about, let's say, 4K and some change a month, right? 4K and some change a month. You decide that you want to actually go buy a business, right? And so what are you going to do? Let's say your bills probably take up all this. Let's be honest. Your 4K a month is gone just from that. So you're like, you know what? I need to get another job. Let me get another job as a server and let that actually be my surplus to supplement my income. And let's say I make another, let's say 3K a month from this job, right? 3K a month. So now this is something that's additional. This pays for my bills. This pays for my life. Okay. So what I'm going to do is my goal is to buy a business that's generating, and I would honestly go for a business that's generating 240K minimum a year. I wouldn't just go for 10K, 120K a year. And that's a totally different discussion for a totally different day. I'd go for that. And then after I buy 250K, guess how much? I use that whole 3K, 1 month's pay, to get me a 240K a year business plus 100K, let me do this, 100K in funding. So that means I use 3K to buy 340K. That's called real leverage. That's real life that I just showed you. Guess how many hours you may be working? You may be working 60 plus hours a week. 60 plus hours a week. You got 24 hours in a day, right? You sleep 8 out of those hours. You work, let's say you work 12 out of those hours. You get ready 2 out of those hours. You drive 2 out of those hours, right? So this right here is 20. This right here is 24, right? So let's say you got 24 hours. Guess what you have to do? You have $3,000 surplus. You don't have the time right now. Guess what you're going to do, right? And it may not take you 2 hours. Honestly, it shouldn't take you 2 hours to do anything in a day. It should probably take you 1 hour to do anything in a day to get to where you need to be, which means you have an hour of your day left to do what you got to do. If you're working 2 jobs, this is real life right here, okay? This is real life. This is what I would do. I would hire me a $500 a month VA to find the deals. And before I'd even do that, let's back up. You don't even know what you know yet. You don't know what you don't know. So what I would do first is I would get in mentorship. It may cost you between 2K to 5K one time to get a mentor to actually learn how to do it. Once you learn how to do it, you take an hour of your day to learn how to do it. And then after you know how to do it, hire 500 a month VA from the Philippines, get them to find all the deals, bring them to you. And out of that 1 hour a day, I'd source through those deals. You may be able to source through 20 to 50 a day. And from that 20 to 50 a day, then you may find one that you like, or it might be more than one, honestly. It may be like 5-10 that you like. Out of that 5-10, one you'll acquire. You turn, and that off that one you acquired, it then goes back to that 340K that I mentioned. And all you did is invest 2 to 5K. Guess what? Out of that one that you liked, you probably are paying about 5K to 10K worth of fees for attorney fees. Maybe, depending. It could be less depending on what you're actually needing, let's be honest. But the key thing is you're spending, this may be 2 months of pay from the surplus right here. That's maybe 2 to 4 months worth of pay. That's cool. It took you 2 to 4 months to acquire a 340K a month business that's including the funding. Can you do that? That's the question that I want you to ask yourself. Can you do that? I think you can, right? So, like I mentioned, I knew I was going to show y'all something y'all never heard before. This is pretty much everything you need to know. 2 ways on how to actually, build a business from scratch, especially a family business from scratch, because this is something that you must have, you must be able to take seriously, y'all. I want you to build a business that's worth having. Build a business that will literally take you to the next level. Okay, so this is everything I got. Hopefully this makes sense. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments below and let me know what video you want next. All right, so hopefully I was able to change your life and make you think of things a bit differently. So I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. This is how you create an offer. First things first is you need to know who you're talking to. The next thing you want to do, when you figure out your target audience, you want to then list out every problem that your audience is going through step by step, from when they first start to when they are done. So here's a way to break down messaging. Okay, I help X do Y by Z. X is your target audience, Y is the outcome or result, and Z is how exactly you're getting them that outcome or result, which is the client journey. YouTube, that's the retention. The short form is to just get their attention. The long form is to keep their attention. Put your I help statement in your bio. Don't put just adjectives in there. Put your I help statement in your bio so people know exactly what you do before they even look at the content that you have. So I want to end the day, or at least give y'all some game, some real tactful game, because you all are starting to become public speakers. You all want to be able to, really make income off of this, right? Y'all want to monetize your power, right? Yes. Oh, maybe I ain't hear y'all straight. Hold on. Do y'all want to make some money? Yes. Like I just want to know, like, is money like top priority? Like, don't y'all want to monetize y'all power real quick? Yes. All right, cool. So I'm going to show you how we were able to market our business on social media to get unlimited leads, book calls, and close deals at will. Okay. I literally, let me tell you a little something. I've gone viral 3 times this month. I've gone viral every month since before this month. And I have had so many leads. I've literally yesterday had to stop posting because my back end, we have to hire more people. So I'm gonna show you exactly how we were able to do that. Are y'all cool with that? Yeah, please. All right, cool. He said, please. All right, cool. So if you don't know who we are, we're actually on a family business. We are the Fampreneurs. And make some noise for the fam. Look, let's make some noise for them. Like, I don't know how many family businesses that are out here these days. It used to be normal, but it's not like that anymore. So we're a family business. As you can see, Queen, my mom is up there. I'm on the right. My dad is on the other side, and then that's my brother all the way to the left. And if you all don't know, that circle right there, I want y'all to do some research on that. That is called a corporate seal. Just Google that and find out what that means. That's a bit of a homework extracurricular activity right there. But we've been seen on so many different platforms, y'all. So many different platforms, Yahoo Finance. I'm not going to go through all that. But does anyone know what the top 1% is? Does anyone know what that means though? Not like the definition of how much income it is, but do you know what it means? Does anyone know? Raise your hand. What the top 1% actually is? Ownership? Okay. Does anyone know what the definition of entrepreneurship is? Well, an entrepreneur. So entrepreneur means that you solve problems. That's what it means. What? Now the Google dictionary version will say it's a risk taker. Now, of course, that is very true, but the key thing here is you don't reach the top 1% income without solving a lot of problems. Then the first problem that you all have learned today is solving the first problem within yourself. Does that make sense? So income-wise, the first problem that you are going to, that you want to first get to, if you're not here, then you have another problem. And as an entrepreneur, you have to find a way to get to this income goal, okay? Which a household income, you need to make 500 to 70K, and a single individual needs to make minimum 401. Now, as you can see, the reason why I'm showing you this is I've accomplished this not only just for myself, but also for my entire family. So I'm well educated to be able to teach you everything that I'm about to mention. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So this is us making our first 100K a month award, or 100K a month period, and we got an award for it. Some people in here may have seen us on this platform where we were able to get this award. We made it in our first 6 months. Again, I'm just showing credibility so you all are aware of the authority figure here, right? So this is our first event. FamCon was in 2023. Of course, we're gonna have it. Yep, my man was shooting it. Absolutely. We were there. It was the biggest FamCon and the only family business conference ever in the United States. I don't think you can ever know. There's no one else doing it. So this is what we've been doing. But a little bit about us, right? We were first back in 2017. We started off as traders, and everyone just started to be like, yo, how did you get your son in this? How did you get your children? How did you get your parents? How did you get this? How did you get that? Because if you're not aware, you are a walking business. And especially everyone has a family, right? Oh, y'all don't sound confident to me. Do y'all have a family? Yes, no? Yeah. Oh, okay, so you all are a walking family business, right? Yes. Okay, so here, this is our introduction stage of us realizing that we are an actual family business, which is the stage that you are all in right now. You just now are getting to that point. It's an introduction. To tell you a little bit, to make this high gap become a bit more relatable. My father passed away due to COVID in 2020. My mom almost passed away a year later from the same thing, right? So we almost lost all our family. Do you know what I'm saying? In literally a year. Luckily, that didn't happen. Mom's still here, living life, right? Praise God, absolutely. We've been in the same room that you all are in right now. And as you can see, that's a photo for me from the back. I was in the back of the room, y'all. Now I'm on front of the stage. Does that make sense? I've been educating people for years. Now I'm at the point where I can now educate y'all in person, on stage, and not just how I am right here. We're just next to each other in a line while I'm also trying to learn something, right? But that's the point, is that we've always been around. That's the last photo. We've always been around each other. Everyone has always wondered, how did you get your family and all this together? How were you able to educate? How were you able to do this, that, and the third? I'm going to show you that. Okay, so enough about us. You didn't come here for us. I wanted to break down the reasons why you are here. Okay, so you're here because either you don't know how to communicate on social media, you don't know how to embody confidence on social media, right? You don't know how to post on social media, and you don't know how to convert followers into prospects, prospects into leads, and leads into sales. Are we in agreement? Yes. Okay. So this is the blueprint that we put together. I'm only going to show you one of these blueprints, but I just want to remind you all that you all are actually a family what? Business. There we go. Just want to make sure y'all listening. Okay. So you're doing this for your last name, not your what? First name. There we go. All right. So it's time for you all to do this and make changes for you and your family together. Agreed? Yes. Agreed. So I like to hear. So this is the legacy blueprint that we put together. You can take a photo of this. I'm only going to go over the enterprise level. So I want you all to know, when it comes to building a family business, there are more layers to this than you will ever know. Okay. But the key thing here is that I'm going to teach you everything in enterprise. I'm going to show you how we've gotten so many sales that we've had to close shop until we hire more people, and then we can continue. Does anyone want to have a good problem? Like, that's a good problem, right? We got so many book calls. We're 2 weeks out and we got to chill for a moment. That's a good problem to have, right? Now, I'm going to show you, I know a lot of people have been talking about funnels, and the funnel, people think that funnels are just a landing page. The funnel starts before the funnel starts. The funnel starts in person, and then you have something called a client journey that starts when they make a sale and then after they make a sale. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so let's talk about it. So this is the funnel. So take a photo of this. This is the funnel. Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to create an offer, how to get your messaging down, how to get product market fit, how to create content, how to do DM setting, how to actually get people to fill out an application because they want to know what you do. There's a difference from just people just, hey, let me just fill out an application. No, they want to they're in need of your services. Okay, we're gonna go through the actual booking funnel, and I'm gonna go through the sales call. Is everyone down with that? Yes. Okay, cool, let's get it. So let's talk about offer creation real quick. This is how you create an offer. First things first is you need to know who you're talking to, okay? You need to actually have a target audience. Our target audience are families and first generation wealth builders. David's is regular people turning their pain into power. Does that make sense? It's very specific, right? The next thing you want to do, when you figure out your target audience, you want to then list out every problem that your audience is going through step by step, from when they first start to when they are done. And then once you do that, you then want, because here are some common problems real quick, because I'm gonna finish. I already listed out the problems that you're going through. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you in real time how you all are struggling and having challenges. And now I'm about to solve it with a list of solutions. But how I'm gonna do that is through a how-to statement, which is what I just did here. Is everyone picking up what I'm putting down? Yes, right. Okay, cool. So this is the full step-by-step on how to create an offer, okay? First things first is list out every problem step by step. Another thing, list out the solution in a how-to statement, because people relate and they understand better when it's a how-to. Now, here's a hint. Here's a very, very clear way of doing things. When I tell you how to do something, I'm telling you how to do something. But if I told you how I did something, you can't argue about what I did. Does that make sense? So I'd rather you, instead of say how to, say how I, or how we. Okay. Does that make sense? Go based off the experience. So what does that mean? You got to go get the experience first. Right. Everybody say experience. Experience. Okay, cool. After you do that, I want you to give them a big promise and outcome. Okay? So the big promise I told you was this. After that, you want to add a guarantee. 100% refund, or money back guarantee, or I'll work for you for free until we do so, whatever your offer is. Right now we're packaging this up. Then you want to create a name for your offer. Last thing is you then want to create a price. Now you're probably wondering, hey, how do I price something for my audience? Does anyone want to know how to do it? Okay, cool. So let me give you an example. if you want to, let's say, for example, I'm gonna give a money example because it's just easier on math because everyone likes math, everyone likes money. Let's say I want you to make $100,000 in a year. Like that's the goal, to make 100,000, right? I'm always gonna charge 10 times less than the outcome. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that means I'm gonna charge you $10,000 so that you can get to $100,000. Think of it this way, would you pay 10 to get to 100? What? Yes. Mm-hmm. No, y'all aren't sure? Yes. 100%, right? I would pay 10 to get to 100,000. That's a 10x increase in income, right? Now, what if you wanted to charge somebody 1,000? You'd get them, your goal is to get them to at least what? 10,000. Is everyone understanding how the pricing model works? Did I just solve all first world problems? I did, thank you. So now let's go to the next thing, messaging. This is what actually a lot of people struggle with, right? So I'm gonna show you exactly how to solve the messaging issue. I know David talks about the messaging on in general when it comes to talking in front of people, but now I'm gonna show you how to talk to it on social media. But the key thing here is if you can talk to a person, it should be easy for you to talk to someone on social media. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about it. So here's a way to break down messaging, okay? I'm giving y'all all the good. I'm like, I pay a lot of money for this information, but y'all getting it for the free. Yo, can we clap it up for David real quick? Let's do it one more time real quick. Like, y'all getting the game, boy. I'm telling you, y'all, and we ain't even get to the good stuff yet. All right, so look, make yourself a how-to statement. I help X do Y by Z. X is your target audience. Y is the outcome or result. And Z is how exactly you're getting them that outcome or result, which is the client journey. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Next thing, pick two social media platforms, one for short form, one for long form. YouTube is to make sure that that's the retention that pretty much Brendan was talking about earlier. The short form is to just get their attention. The long form is to keep their attention. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So next thing, you want to optimize your social media bio. Please make it make sense. Put your I help statement in your bio. Don't put just adjectives in there. Put your I help statement in your bio so people know exactly what you do before they even look at the content that you have. Okay? Next thing is, what's your signature saying? Type the word amen. That's your signature thing right there. Everyone know you for the amen. You get what I'm saying? That's the signature thing, right? You gotta have that. And then you gotta have, like, how do you intro your videos? How I always intro my videos is because the thing is, you're creating something called a brand. Do you get what I'm saying? Yes. You're creating a brand. You're messaging. The definition of brand is messaging times reputation equals brand. That's the formula. Messaging times reputation equals brand. Does that make sense? Yes. So as long as I can communicate to you and then I associate myself with other things, you have now created a brand. If I just came out here with Louis Vuitton, how would you associate me with? If I had a lot of jewelry on my neck, what would you associate me with? Most people, athlete, rapper, right? It's brand. So you gotta be able to have those things in place, all right? So let's talk about the next thing, product market fit. You need to have one avatar, one channel, one product. One avatar we just discussed. One channel is the social media we just discussed, okay? One product is what are you selling? We just discussed that. All you're gonna do is sell whatever that you're packaging and you're selling it to them, but you're only selling one of them. Don't create tiers. I got this one, 47.97, 87.90. I don't know how many sevens you got. Just pick one. If it's only the sales ebook, then it's only the ebook. If it's a high ticket, which is 3,000 and above, then it's only that product. Do not sell more than one, because what are you gonna do? Confuse your audience. Do not do it until you're at the point where it is something that you can do and people don't care. Like they'll just buy just because. That's when you should do it. And when you do that, what level? You should be at $1 million before you do that, okay? So I'm just putting that out there. Next thing, content creation. Does anyone know how to create content? Who has created content? Who has content? Yeah. Double it. Just gonna put that out there, okay? So here's the thing. This is the posting schedule that you should have. Post once a day. I prefer 2 to 3 times if you really want to scale faster, okay? How many times?
2 to 3.
But what's the bare minimum?
1.
There we go. That's on Instagram. Post 1 per week on YouTube. I prefer 2 to 3 times to grow faster, okay? Post 1 to 3 testimonials per week and pin it so people can see it, okay? And if you don't have a testimonial, then you are the testimonial. Does that make sense? Okay. Then you want to post in your stories 3 to 10 times every day. Every what? Every what? There we go. And then do this for 3 to 6 months without expecting an ROI in return. This is the hard part, y'all. I'm being relatable right now. It is the hardest part. To do it for 3 to 6 months without expecting anything in return, meaning no money, no recognition, no anything. You just have to do it. What you're doing is you're giving value into the market, and eventually the market will demand that you give them something back, which is your offer. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, cool. So this is the type of content that you can post that I know has worked, proven. I'm using David as an example because this man gets dummy amounts of views. Me, I'm at the end, I got 1 million, and all these, I'm pretty sure got somewhere across the same thing, 1 million. Every one of these do multiple figures. They got commas afterwards, and I'm not talking one, okay? So I'm telling you to do either 3 of these, and it will work. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Now, how do we convert eyeballs into money, at least into leads? This is where DM setting comes into play. So I'm gonna give you all the sauce, and I'm gonna break this down real quick. Everything that I'm breaking down right now, I've tested over 10,000 times. Everything. This is proven. 10,000 times I've done this, okay? So there are 3 types of DMing. There is inbound, warm outbound, and cold outbound, okay? I've done this 10,000 times on each, okay? Inbound is people coming to you. Warm outbound is you going to your followers, your comments, your likes. That's warm outbound. They may follow you, but they just don't have the grit to say something, right? So you reach out to them, say hello to them. And then you got cold outbound, which is you going to your competitors and reaching out to them. I'm only gonna break down inbound right now because time constraint wise, right? Now, message number 1, this is what you wanna say. Hey, this is Marcus's assistant here. Or if it's just you, just state you. I just wanna say thank you for your support. Send that message first. Then I wanna say, just so I can get to know you a bit better, why do you wanna, and I'm inserting mine, but you can insert whatever you want there. Why do you wanna do X result? And what do you do for work? Because I'm pretty sure you're targeting people only in the US. If not, then you don't have to input this last line. But 9 times out of 10, David's is in the US. Maybe Canada, right? But mainly in the US. So that's why I inputted this here. And based on those 2 questions, I can point you in the right direction. Boom. Message number 2, once they respond, you say this. Based on that, what I think it makes the most sense is to jump on a quick 15-minute call to chat and see how we can help you out. You open to that, save you the carpal tunnel LOL. Just a bit of a joke in there, right? To lift the conversation, right? Message number 3, send them the link if they say yes to this. And then you want to pick a time that works best for you. After that, screenshot it so I know that you booked it. That's a huge hack. Huge hack, because how would you know if they booked it? 1, that's that end. The second thing is that it also adds another commitment on their end to you. Absolutely. So now let's talk about the booking funnel, right? Easy. It's going to be a VSL funnel, right? VSL means video sales letter, which means that it's just a shorter version of a webinar, 40 minutes or less or something like that, right? Just gonna put that out there. You want to have a sign up page to collect data, a 15-minute video on that video. Then you want to have an application. And then you want a 2 to 3 minute Loom video setting the expectation of what they should be doing after they booked the call and filled out the application. Does that make sense? In that order, okay? So number 2 is 1 page. Number 3 is, well, the 3 is on number 2. 4 is a pop-up. So this isn't a separate page. This is the same page, but it's just a pop-up, okay? And then the 5 is just you redirecting on Calendly. Use Calendly because it's easier, it's free. You want to just say redirect them to a URL and send them that Loom video. Does that make sense? Cool. Now, what do you say on the application? This is the questions you want to ask on the application. Am I giving value or am I giving value? Like, come on now. I just want to let y'all know we spent a lot of money to get this information. Y'all were bored or if y'all getting the info? Like, let me know, okay? Okay, cool. So this is what you want to say in the application. Very simple. Contact, what's the biggest challenge you're going through? Do you or anybody else have anything, 680 or more? How much money do you have? Are you the decision maker or is there someone else that also needs to be on with you? And what stage are you in X business? Make sense? Cool. Let's talk about the last step, which is a sales call, okay? On the sales call, this is your framework when you were on the sales call. I can't give you what to say on the call because it's a lot, but this is the framework that you can at least follow when having the conversation. By the time you get to the pitch, it's called an objection is closed. They should not have an objection because you're going through the objection before you pitch. Right. You should know how much money they have before you pitch. How much what? Money. There we go. And then if they do have some objections, cool, you can address them because they've already said the objection and now you can just throw it back in their face. Does that make sense? Oh man, I really just need some information. Oh, okay, what type of information are you looking for? Oh, I just need to do this. Okay, what's the information gonna be used for? Does it make sense? I'm having them prove to me why they should work with me. I'm not gonna just answer their question. Does that make sense? Yes. Cool. Here's some KPIs for you to track, okay? Post once a day, bare minimum. Get 30 to 50 DMs per week. I don't expect you to get it per day. Don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen the first 3 to 6 months. Remember, you're putting it in without having an ROI, okay? Get 10 to 15 applications per week. Book 3 to 5 calls per week. Close 1 deal per week. Now, 47 is amazing because everyone has a book, but for me, you can do that. But for me, I need to pay bills. So for me, I'm charging $2,000, right? And if I charge $2,000 and I do that once a week for 4 weeks, that's $8,000. Can that replace someone's income? Right. Now, how do you double this? Do you all see where it says inputs? That means you got to do more of that to get more outputs. More inputs equals more what? Outputs. Okay, there we go. All right, I don't want to run over on time because I know I want to respect any questions. What's up?
What funnel are you using, like the VSL funnel?
The VSL funnel is what I'm using.
That's the brand. VSL.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's the name of the actual funnel is VSL funnel. Any other questions? This one? Oh, yeah. You need two? I got you. There you go.
Go ahead. Is this something that translates
I got you.
to product versus the service you're providing for somebody?
So this is a service for sure, okay. But you can do this if you, instead of it being a $2,000 offer, let's say they don't qualify, send them to the product. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That can be a great way to send the $47 product to. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't help you right now. You might not be at the point right now where this may be a thing, but I do have this ebook for you though. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That'd be a nice way to situate that.
What is the $2,000 service that you're offering in the success?
You're in this mentorship, right? That's the service. You would charge whatever he's serving, he's doing, mimic him, and do the same thing for your customers. Does that make sense? So like pay attention to how he's formed his entire offer and literally copy it and say, I offer the same thing, especially if you're certified by him. It's an easy way to leverage him. Does that make sense? Cool. Everyone good? All right, y'all. Appreciate you. Before 2018, I thought that I would never reach a 700 credit score. But after going through 6 years of learning, studying, and spending tens of thousands of dollars on learning new information, I finally was able to crack the code and not only be able to increase my credit score to 700 with mine, but now I'm able to actually be able to repair and restore anyone's credit in a very short period of time. Now, this is the key thing. Of course, most of these people are not going to listen to anything that I'm saying on this actual video because for some reason it's gonna go in one ear and out the other. So, of course, this is the most important part and most people fuck up on this part because a lot of people really don't listen to what I'm saying word for word. So I want you to really pay attention. So now, when I'm speaking of a very short period of time, I want you to look at this in the grand scheme of things. Most people never repair their credit. Most people take 20, 30 years just to get a 680 credit score and never touch or even pierce the 700 sector of credit, okay? So when I mean a short period of time, I'm talking between the time of 6 to 12 months. That is a guaranteed time, or actually between 3 and 12 months. That is a guaranteed time for you to be able to repair your credit. But it all depends on what's on your credit report and how consistent and persistent you'll actually be to actually get yourself to a 700 credit score. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I got notes because I want to make sure that I give you all the exact things you need, all right? So I'm going to break down here, depending on where you're at currently right now, what you need to do in order to actually get out of the hurdle that you're in and actually get to a 700 credit score. So I'm going to break down the first thing. If you're between 350 and 600, you will probably have to repair your credit between 6 and 12 months, okay? 6 and 12 months is your sweet spot to actually repair your credit, all right? So most problems you're going through right now is you probably have high utilization, probably have massive or severe delinquencies, right? Which means it's like late payments, bankruptcies, foreclosures, all those things, charge-offs, collections, all those, right? And you have probably limited to no or negative credit history or age, right? So in order for you to actually solve this, one, I'm giving you step by step. First things first, and link in the description for this, you need access to this. You want to review your credit report using Identity IQ. Or you could go to annualcreditreport.com if you want something for free, but if you want something, that's something you could only get, I believe, once a month or something. If you want something that's actually something you can look every single day, which is something you need to do, I would click the link in the description, use Identity IQ. It only costs you $1 for 7 days, and that could at least get you to look at your credit report as fast as possible. So what you want to do is you want to review your credit report, okay? Second thing, and this has nothing to do with credit, but has everything to do with repairing your credit. You actually want to save $1,000 of an emergency fund. Now, the key thing here is, the reason why I say this before you actually get into the credit part is you have to be able to take care of just in case situations. Because when you're repairing your credit, all of your money is going to go into paying off debt. All of it. Pretty much after your bills, you have no money, right? You're living off rice and beans at this point, right? And so what you want to do is you want to at least be able to have a savings account put to the side in a high yielding savings account. You can use Vero Money or you can use Wealthfront, high yielding savings account. So you can actually take your money and for a rainy day, and then if you need to have access to it, you use it, and then you replenish it again. If you use 500, you put 500 back in there for 1,000. So that means you would have to hold the debt, you know, hold your credit repair for maybe about a month or two to put another 500 into your account. This is why, like, again, this is why I say 6 to 12 months, right? But you want to get the $1,000 out the way so you can take care of that. So that's the second thing. First thing, review your credit report. Second thing, save $1,000 in an emergency fund in a high yielding savings account. Third thing, you want to study and read consumer law, okay? If you actually want me to create a video on how exactly to create consumer law, I absolutely can do this. This is something, you know, I can do. Drop in the comments if you want. But when it comes to consumer law, this helps you understand your rights. So if you do have to go to the courtroom or you do have to prove things on letters, you know exactly what you're talking about, so no one can cheat you or force you out of a situation. Okay. Number 4 is you want to use AI disputing softwares. You could use Dispute Panda. We're coming out with our own as well, so watch out for those. There are plenty of other disputing softwares that exist. You want to leverage those disputing softwares and get things deleted. Get the inaccuracies deleted from your credit report. Correct your personal information. Delete things that are inaccurate. Get everything. Get your late payments off. Get everything off your credit report so you can take yourself to the next level. Okay. Now, there's a difference between disputing things and deleting things. This is a key thing that a lot of people mess up. When it comes to disputing is you delete it from your credit report, you remove it from your credit report, but it is not deleted in the back end, okay? Deleting things means that it's deleted from the front end and the back end, so they can't come back. So there's a huge difference between the two. You want to actually delete things off your credit report, not just dispute things and remove things off your credit report, okay? Two totally different things. All right, number 5. After you get things deleted off your credit report, your report is actually, you know, it's still not probably in the best standings, but your credit is actually increasing. You want to start actually getting secured credit cards, okay? This is the first thing you want to leverage. Leverage credit unions, leverage regional banks, open personal bank accounts with them, stay for about 30 days, then open up a secured credit card with them. Put to as much as you possibly can. I say minimum $200 in those actual secured credit cards, and then use them and pay it off. Use them and pay it off. At this point, you should be out of the deletion period, the repairing period. Now we're getting into the restoring period, okay? Now, a part of the restoring period is that you have to pay off your debt. You have to pay down your utilization, and that's step number 6. Delete the utilization. So you have $200 in the secure credit card, but you also want to make sure that you've paid off your utilization. Your utilization is high. It's time for you to bring that thing way down, okay? So let's pay down your utilization, all right? So this is everything you need to do, and I would actually say pay down your utilization before you even get your secure credit card, okay? Because that is super, super important. Even though you get things deleted, does not mean that you will have a great credit score. Your utilization has to be down. Your age has to be a certain way, right? There are certain things you need. Like there are mixed credit, age, history, utilization. There's so many different things you need when it comes to building a ideal credit report, okay? If you want me to come up with a data point section, I can. It's actually very simple to break down, so let me know in the comments if you want to know the actual data points of building a credit report or an ideal 680, 700 credit report, okay? So this is if you're between 350 and 600. These are the exact steps you need to do in order to get yourself to the next level, okay? Now, if you're between a 600 and a 680, okay, you have between a 3 to 6 month span, maybe pushing 8 months, depending on what's going on in your credit report, okay? Now, this means that you have little to no debt, you have some late payments, you have no diversity, right? And you have some negative accounts. These are like small things that you may have 2 or 3 things on here that may be affecting you, maybe max 7, 5, right? That may be affecting, not 7, max 5, depending on the severity of the situation, right? So how do we solve this? The way that we solve this is, of course, you need to review your credit report. Again, link in the description for Identity IQ, or you can go to annualcreditreport.com, and I'll link that in the description as well for you. Second thing, start that $1,000 emergency fund in a high yielding savings account. Third thing, you actually want to pay on time with your payments. The reason why it's late is because it needs to be paid on time, and that's something you should also do if you have 350 to 600, right? Another thing, the fourth thing is you want to ask for credit limit increase. So then this means that you have some form of credit cards in there, which is why you're at a 600 to 680 point. You have some form of credit history, some form of credit age. So this is where you want to start calling and increasing the limits, okay, on some of the credit cards that you have. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to lower your credit utilization. So you want to pay down these utilizations and pay down this debt as far down as possible. I would say damn near all the way down, but I would say, you know, no more than 30%, right? Maybe even 15% if you want to be a little bit more specific, right? And then you want to increase your credit limits, because this will you have a relationship with them. At this point, after 30, 60 days, you have a relationship, you can call for a credit increase and they will give it to you, okay? Because you built a relationship, you built rapport with them. They've seen you spend the money and pay it back. Okay, so this is literally all you do when it comes to building your credit report. And I gave you two different ways. If you're between a 350 and a 600, and if you're between a 600 and a 680, these are the exact steps you have to do. Okay, now of course you still want to make sure if you're on 600 to 680 that you're leveraging disputing softwares to get these late payments off and get some of these, you know, all that. Just get the late payments off or get these small derogatories off. I meant to say, when it comes to no diversity, the way that you solve the diversity issue is you want to start buying primary trade lines so that you can actually be able to show diversity, or you want to add primary trade lines by going to like Kickoff, Self. These are the places that you can go through, Credit Strong, to actually get those things in place. And what I'll do is I'll link primary trade lines down below as well for you so that you can actually make sure that that's squared away. Okay, so again, the goal here is for you to become as independent as possible and also teach this to your family as well, so you can, all of you can start building generational wealth and build a family that's worthwhile. This is the key thing. So make sure you learn to speak the language when it comes to credit, right? And like I want to remind you, this could take between 3 to 12 months, and depending on how severe, maybe even longer, but it won't take you 20, 30 years. Okay, you have the blueprint now. So now it's just a matter of you executing. I don't care what anyone says. If anyone says that it's going to take you a month to get things done with your credit report, it's probably not going to take that long. I don't care what anybody says, unless you literally have one thing on your credit report, okay? And that may even take you 90 days, depending on how hard. If it's a late payment, it's going to take you a while. Okay, so this is everything you need. Again, if you want to learn more information on how exactly to take you and your family to the next level, and you want to actually be able to share some of the information that I broke down today with your family, I want you to click the link in the description, join our free workshop. This will show you everything you need in order to build generational wealth. And I hope that I was able to help you out, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
All right, y'all, I'm about to show you all something that no one has ever done on YouTube, and I may be breaking the rules here, but I'm literally going to give you all the game, okay? I'm going to be showing you firsthand how a family trust is supposed to look, how we actually do our family trust, and how this can actually benefit you. And I'm going to show you the actual agreement on this particular video. So I hope you are locked in and you're taking notes, because I'm about to give y'all everything. All right, so let's go ahead and break it down. Okay, so this is the private family trust in a nutshell. This is a template that we actually supply to all of our mentees. This actually allows to actually be as protected as possible, and we have everything here at your disposal. Okay, so everything in yellow are things that you need to put down and you need to actually type for yourself. Okay, now I'm going to break down some general principles here, some general understandings of the trust before I actually dive deep into it. There are 4 main components that you actually need to actually complete a trust, or 4 parties, right? You have the grantor, which is the person that is the person that's creating the actual trust. And of course, for an irrevocable trust, because this is an irrevocable trust, as you can see from right here, this is an irrevocable express trust. Express means written, okay? Oral means verbal. This is a written trust. Express means written in trust law, okay? So you need a grantor, which is the person that's creating the trust. Then you have the trustee. The trustee is the person that is considered a third party, right, in the actual trust, because the grantor cannot touch anything, cannot control anything, and cannot move anything, right? And so the trustee is the person that's going to be managing, distributing all of the assets and communicating with the beneficiary at the same time. Then you have the trust protector, okay? So mind you, remember, and there's other words for grantor. There's grantor, settler, trustor, executor. If you see these words interchanged throughout here, I'm just interchanging them, right? In this case, we call it the settlor, which the reason why we say that is just because this is most banks know what grantor settlor is, right? They know what some of these terminologies are. So this actual agreement is best made for the banks. The banks will fully 100% understand what this agreement is. The downside when it comes to creating a trust is that you're speaking in trust law, which you should be, but you should also be speaking in banks law as well, or banks language, so that you can actually get funding through these particular trusts. Now, of course, there are other trusts like business trusts and ministry trusts, especially business trusts, that are a bit friendlier when it comes to getting funding, business funding, but or corporate funding. But in this case, I'm just giving you all the basics. So trustee is the person that manages and distributes the assets. Trust protector, okay, is the person that keeps the trustee in line. Okay, what tends to happen, and you've seen these movies, is that the trustee takes all the money and then dips because they didn't have a trust protector in place. Okay, so a trust protector is their job is to actually make sure that everything's in place. Okay, and make sure the trustee's in line. Then, of course, you have the beneficiary. Okay, which we'll talk about later. Which the beneficiary is the person that actually receives the actual assets. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. I know y'all are eager to know how this moves, so I've been wanting to do this for a while. So let's talk about it. Okay. So this is the family trust. All right. So this pretty much, anytime you're having a trust, you have a declaration when you're first doing this. So you always want to, declare the intentions of the trust. So this is what this is. You always want to make sure you're putting the date, the month, and the year, as well as the time in which it was created. Okay. You want to put the address, which the address you can get online, virtual address. You can Google those. There's plenty of those that come at that time. Of course, you put the address here again, put the trust here again. But from here, now we are talking about what classifies this trust, right? So this declaration establishes as an irrevocable express trust, separate from the partnerships or joint associations. Okay. So remind you, a trust is an entity just like any other entity. Okay, it's just an advanced version. It just has massive amounts of protection. Okay, when it comes to revocable, the grantor can make changes, but also the creditors can come in and take any of the money that is owed to them. Right, and that's really like the downside when it comes to a revocable trust. Now, mind you, I'm saying that in a very loosely way. There's a better way of saying what creditors can do comes to revocable trust, and I may be phrasing it a bit weird on this call, but in the gist, with creditors can come in and do certain things that an irrevocable trust, the creditors cannot do with an irrevocable trust. Okay, so that's pretty much what an irrevocable express trust is. Like I said, express means written, oral. If this was an irrevocable oral trust, then that means that it's verbal. Okay. Everything's in writing. Everything is based off contract law. Okay. So irrevocability, this trust is irrevocable. This trust is established as irrevocable by the settlor or grantor. Mind you, like I said, I'm interchanging. Amendments to the trust may be executed as outlined in the trust bylaws. So this is saying that the trust bylaws are going to pretty much explain in more detail when it comes to the actual trust. Okay. And when it comes to the amendments. So any amendments may be outlined in the bylaws. Okay. Now, Article 2, this deals with gifts, transfers, and property contributions to the trust. So you can make gifts, contributions, and all these things to the actual trust. And so this is pretty much what this is saying here. Trust is a trust corpus. Okay. This is a totally different call for totally different time on what a trust corpus is. And if you all actually want to know what a trust corpus is, let me know in the description below or in the comments below. But pretty much it is the embodiment of the trust in the common language speaking, right? So pretty much you can make gifts, you can transfer things into the family trust, and you can also have property contributions to this actual trust. Okay. So you can transfer property, which the transfer property described in Schedule A, which we'll get to, which are various forms bestowed upon gifts, donations, income, public and private benefits, and any other intangible or tangible assets of value, meaning that those things can be a transfer of property into the trust. You can make gifts, which it explains in more detail what gifts are, trust acceptance, right? This is just pretty much explaining just a little bit more detail of what the trust is actually saying. By execution of the trust indenture, trustees accepts duties and obligations that can come with being appointed and acknowledges that settlor has settled upon the assets described in the Schedule A. So the name of the trust you'd put here, right? So it's saying the trust constituted by this trust indenture shall be known as the name. It'll be identified as such, and the trustee person will be this person as of this date. Okay, that's pretty much what it's saying in a gist. Now we're talking about the purpose of the trust. Okay, this is where we start understanding the benefit of having a beneficiary, right? So like I said, these are things that I can go more in detail on if that's something that you want, but usually I go more in detail within our actual program with our mentees. So I won't go too much into this video because this is just like a high level overview. But this is just explaining the purpose of the actual trust and what it's supposed to do. Okay, you have the beneficiary benefit, how does it benefit the beneficiary, right? They have access to beneficial care, financial growth, legal safeguards. It supports education, skill development, encourages exploration and personal growth, provides a foundation for financial well-being, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's pretty much what this is, and everything else kind of just explains the administration side of the purpose. All right, now this Article 4 talks about the trustees' involvement with the family trust. What are they supposed to be doing? Okay, how many trustees are you trying to have, right? And then it talks about how do they manage the property? How do they appoint other trust officers? You want to have a trustee successor, right? So you want to have a co-trustee and a trustee successor. Okay, so you want to have someone, if anything happens to the trustee, you have someone that actually is you want to appoint that actually is a person that can come into place whenever that trustee, or if that trustee goes through something, right? Can incapacitate it, whatever. Everything here just talks about what the trustee has power to when it comes to property, when it comes to investing, when it comes to managing, when it comes to borrowing, when it comes to insuring, when it comes to compromise claims, how they're compensated, right? Talks about everything with this particular trust. Okay. Like I said, successor trustees, I said trustee successor, but it's successor trustees, right? It talks about how, that. It talks about everything when it comes to here. And this is the part where you actually add what your really like your criteria for a beneficiary in order to actually get the assets. So do they need to attend a certain amount of education? Do they need to have a certain amount of experience? Do they need to have X, Y, and Z? Like, do they need to be able to be in the business, the family business, for a certain amount of time? How much mentorship should they have? That's pretty much what this section is talking about here. And that's all customizable for you guys. It talks about capital gains. It talks about, fiduciary monitoring. It talks about a lot of different stuff. And then, of course, you have the beneficiaries, right? What are the duties for the beneficiaries? Right? How are things supposed to be distributed when it comes to expenses and living and investing? Right? And then you put the name of the beneficiary in this section. If you have more than one, you input that. Right? And you have the beneficiary units and all these other things. Then you talk about the jurisdiction. Where is this jurisdiction really into? Right? Even though it's created in Georgia, this is a common law trust. Okay? That's what this type of trust is a common law trust, which means that it oversees and it doesn't matter what the statutory limits are within a state. It is common law, which means it trumps that, right? Then it talks about privacy, which is super important because with the trust, you want to make sure that you have privacy. So everything here talks about how private the actual trust is, okay? Make sure I don't mess none up. Then we have the powers in general. So pretty much the liability of things, how the powers are done. How do you run your meetings? How do you deal with disputes? How long does this trust durate for? We have it where the conclusion is at 25 years, but you can renew every 25 years. Okay. So it says at the conclusion of 25-year period specified in the trust instrument, the trust shall automatically renew for a duration of 90 days unless otherwise. Right. So that's pretty much what it says. Severability. Right. It talks about how things are not affected, how things are enforced. Then you have interpretations and definitions. What's great, what most people don't have with their trust that we have is you want to actually know what the hell you're reading. You get what I'm saying? So what we ended up doing is we ended up having a definition section here so you can actually understand and know every term that you aren't aware of, right? What it means, what it doesn't mean, how this benefits you. So this is like a glossary in a sense for you understanding the actual trust. Okay. So that's pretty much what that is. Then of course you have the notary, right? This is where you actually start notarizing the document. These are super important because this is, we highly suggest you go to the bank to get things notarized because they're free, one, and two, most places recognize banks. They don't recognize online notaries. Okay. So we highly suggest you actually go to the bank and get things notarized. This is where you're actually putting your beneficiary's name, your family trust name. How much goes to each person is what this is saying. So this beneficiary gets 50%. This other beneficiary gets 50%. You can also hold beneficial or trust certificate units, which is just like shares within a company to make it for you to understand. But pretty much you can hold certificate units where if they do certain things, they get X amount of TCUs. Right? If you want to do it that way, this is where you input all your assets. This is where you give the contact information for the beneficiaries, the memorandum for the property, what properties are going to be inside the trust. So a lot of people are like, well, how can I input properties? This is where you're associating the properties and then associating it with the beneficiary. So let me be more specific. This is where you add your overall properties. Okay. You're just throwing up all your properties on here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to now associate these properties with a certain beneficiary. So when you see on these movies, hey, this person gets what, this person gets this person gets that. This is where that process comes into play. Okay. Then this is the trust certificate. Okay. This is super important. This is like your trust summary in a sense, right? So this is the summary of everything in regards to your trust. Then you have the trustees and the successors, right? So input all the trustees. You have something called an initial trustee or founding trustee. This person pretty much has power over everyone. And of course, the successor of that trustee would then become the founding trustee as well. And then you have the trust protector, which we just explained, right? Then you have the index. Okay. So this is just you having a high level overview, take pretty much a table of contents for the trustees and such, right? So look, y'all, this is super in detail. We don't play when it comes to our trusts. Okay. We want to make sure that you know everything when it comes to a trust, right? And no one is doing this. I'm telling you, no one is doing this. And I want to make sure y'all get the game. All right. No one is doing this. So I really hope, y'all, that this is giving you a bit of an understanding on how trust is structured, how trusts come into place. And I hope that this is something that you all want to actually implement. If you all are interested in getting a particular trust, getting things set up and protecting your family, building generational wealth and building that family business that you've all been desiring and always dreamed of having, then go to the link in the description, watch our free training. This free training will literally break down everything on how we actually set up our personal trust, how we actually set up our family business. And this will actually help you so that you can become the greatest version of yourselves and the greatest version of your family. And they will actually look at you and you can have a painting on the wall and they say, this person did this for me. This person set things up for my family. And we want that to be for you. So if you think that this is something that you'd be interested in, click the link in the description. I'm telling you, no one's giving this game out for free, but I'm going to give you all the game and show you all this for free. I don't care. In this video, I'm going to show you why the first 19 to 21 years of my life, I actually knew nothing about myself and I actually walked on this planet without having any purpose. Now, I'm also going to show you in this video how exactly I turned that lack of purpose and passion into something great over the past 6 years that allowed me to make over multiple six figures and allowed my family to cross over $1.4 million over the past 4 years. Now, you're probably wondering, Marcus, that's a bold statement. How does this actually make sense? Well, if you don't know who I am actually Marcus Turner. I am the co-founder and COO of the Fampreneurs. And what we do is we help families build six-figure family businesses across any form of the planet, pretty much. We're the #1 family business expert in the nation, going from getting your credit and funding together, building an online family business, as well as protecting your online family business using family banking strategies. So this is literally what we do in a nutshell. Now, how do I know this and how am I able to actually build, tell you this and think, oh my God, you didn't have a purpose for the first 21 years? Absolutely. Let me explain why. There is this one thing that we used in our family or that we created, and not really created, but we used based off the Rockefellers and based off of other businesses, AKA the United States, or corporations, aka the United States, that allowed us to actually be able to find purpose within our life. And you're probably like, how does America, not the United States, because the United States is a corporation, but how does America relate to this? Let me explain. It's called a family crest, okay, and a family corporate seal. And you're probably wondering, well, how does a family crest and the corporate seal relate to anything? I'll explain. So a family crest actually relates to something called a family constitution. And I have past videos explaining what a family constitution is, but the family constitution is pretty much aka a family charter. It's pretty much a document that explains the history of your family and actually allows your family to get an understanding of who you are and where you come from. Okay. And your family crest is actually a part of that family constitution. Now, a family crest is just a visual representation of your family's brand identity, what you represent, your reputation on how exactly you run your family. Okay. Now, the issue is the reason why I, in the first 21 years of my life, had no idea who I was is because my family for the first 21 years of my life didn't know who they were. And so they were passing us traditions that was taught and that was just vague and that was just that didn't really mean anything. They were just passing down generational trauma, generational poverty onto me without actually knowing what exactly who we were as a family, okay? Who we represent, what was our core values, what was our traditions. We didn't even know who our history was outside of the second or third generation up. But over the past 6 years, what we've been able to execute is far greater than most people in the entire planet, or over the past 6 generations. And I'm stating this as a fact. And the reason why I'm able to say this is that I went past our family. We went through the family tree and we've gone back 6 generations to the mid 1800s and early 1800s. And we were able to actually know where we came from. We then were able to implement where we came from and put that into what we like to call a family crest, which allowed us to be able to implement certain principles. Okay, what's our core values? Like, who are we? What do we want our family to embody? What's our vision for our family? What's our mission for our family, right? What is our history of our family? And what we did is we used all that and compressed that into one family crest that you can actually use, that we can actually pass down, put on any brand, put on anything that we have. And this allows us to actually know and have purpose. Okay, so our core values is actually spoken down. Excuse me for my eyes acting up. But we actually have our core values split into five names. Okay, we actually have the abbreviation is called FIRES. Okay, FIRES, and the F means faith and family first. I is for integrity. R is for resilience. E is for execution, and S is for social responsibility. This is what our family crest, as well as the vision, mission, and the history represents. We have our culture, our Egyptian culture, and I'll show you, and you should see our family crest like right here, but it literally represents everything that we embody as a family. And this is really what's important to us when it comes to building family wealth. Okay. Now, another thing, the corporate seal is actually our company, the Fanpreneurs. This is what we stamp on everything and send to legal companies, legal documents, any tax person. They have our corporate seal a part of this because this is the reason why this is so important. Back in the day, in the monarchy days, they used corporate seals they used to have wax, and they would melt wax onto letters and they would stamp their family corporate seal on it and then send it off. And what that would do is you knew from that seal that this came from a family of excellence and a family of wealth. Okay. And we need to be able to justify ourselves in that same regard. Okay. So this is something that we've actually been able to execute. And it actually really, really changed my life. And I actually do have purpose from just having a family crest because I have pride. Now that I have pride, I now know exactly where to steer that pride and know how to help people with that pride. Okay. So this is literally key principles on how we exactly did this. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how exactly we created our family seal by using our personalized family AI. It's called Fam AI. It's our actual chatbot that we use to actually create this. We fed this chatbot information to be able to completely understand what we're looking for. Now I'm just going to create one from scratch. I'm not going to show you ours in more detail. Of course, this is our family seal. This is our corporate seal. So you can kind of have an understanding of how this goes. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create one right now. So this is our Fam AI. This is something that we created. If you want to learn how to create your own, there are plenty of ways on learning how to do that, right? I'm going to move you over here. What we're going to do is we're going to put it where it says create. I like hyper realistic crests or hyper realistic stuff in general, art in general. So I'm just going to go based off that, right? So I'm going to say create a hyper realistic family crest. Now I could just leave it like this, right? If I just type this in, I could, you could leave it like this and it'll just literally generate you some random family crest that literally has nothing to do with your brand. You don't want to leave your crest like this, right? I think ChatGPT is going through some issues. But what you want to do, and what I'll do is I'll create. I don't have the plus. I'll get that. Let me actually get that real quick. Hold on. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put it where it says create. I like hyper realistic crests or hyper realistic stuff in general, art in general. So I'm just gonna go based off that, right? So I'm gonna say create a hyper realistic family crest. Now I could just leave it like this, right? If I just type this in, I could, you could leave it like this and it'll just literally generate you some random family crest that literally has nothing to do with your brand. You don't want to leave your crest like this, right? I think ChatGPT is going through some issues. But what you want to do, and what I'll do is I'll create, I don't have the plus. I'll get that. Let me actually get that real quick. Hold on. Okay, we are back. And I wanted to show you what exactly we got off of this create a hyper realistic family crest. As you can see, it actually came up with a really, really dope design for a family crest. I'm not going to lie to you. The design is dope. It says family legacy as the motto at the bottom. It gives you a whole lot of compartments and mantlings. You got the shield right here. You got 4 corners, one with the tree, the family tree, a lion, the Bible or a book. You got the line at the top. It's actually pretty dope. I'm not going to lie to you. But this may not be who you represent, right? This may not be who you are. So what you want to do is you want to click edit message. You want to be very specific, right? You want to say, I want the shield to be in royal purple with a, let's say, what symbol would you represent? Let's say with a pyramid on it. Let's say I want lions. Let's use the lions that's on here. I want lions on each side of the shield representing the supporters. Let's see. I want a crown and helmet at the top of the shield. I want the mantlings to be in gold and red, and I want a motto ribbon at the bottom of the shield saying family legacy. Boom. Now we have a much more descriptive family crest. You see how descriptive that was? That was very descriptive. I talked about the colors. I talked about what I wanted in the mantlings. I talked about what I wanted on the sides of it, right? If you don't know what a family crest is, I'll definitely break that down right now. Look how crazy nice that looks. Look how crazy nice that looks, y'all. I literally told it what to do, and it gave me exactly what I wanted. I have lines on each side. It even added lines on the actual shield itself, which I didn't ask for, but doesn't matter. You have the pyramid in the center, family legacy ribbon. We have the helmet and the crown at the top with the mantlings flying all over the place. This looks dope, right? It looks really dope. And all we did is use our family AI software that actually our mentees use. And if you want to actually check out our family AI, and our family AI, we actually plugged in our trusts, right? So you'll be able to actually create your own trust if you actually want to. But the key thing here is of course, it's going to give you a very, very miniature version of the trust. So what I would suggest instead is use our personalized trust. But if you want to actually use the Fam AI software, all you have to do is join our Family Business University. Our Family Business University will actually include our Family AI software. It will show you how to use it, just like I'm showing you right now. And you can literally feed it any information you want, and it collects more data as you plug and play. Okay. But all you got to do is just click the link in the description, apply, see if you qualify, or you can apply to actually join our membership offer. So I'm going to show you what a family crest is. Okay. That's what I'm going to do. So here's a great example of a family crest. So you can know what exactly comes with a family crest. So you have the shield, you have the supporters on each side, you have the motto, you have the compartments, which is usually at the bottom, you have the mantlings, which is usually at the top, you have the wreath, right? You have the crown and the helmet, Then you have the crest. You can add the crest at the top if you want to, but usually they call this the family coat of arms. All together, it's called a family crest. Okay, so this is literally every single component of a family crest, okay, or family coat of arms. Okay, now I'm going to type in here now, give me a description of what the difference is between a family crest and a family corporate seal. I'm going to use, like I said, I'm going to use this to just solve all your problems. And a family corporate seal. Keep this short and sweet and speak on a 7th grade level without similes and metaphors. Boom. And now it's going to feed me this. A family crest is a design that represents the family history and identity. Didn't I just explain that earlier today? It often includes symbols that shields, animals, and ribbons showing the family's values and achievements. 100%. A family corporate seal is a stamp or emblem used by a family's business by official documents. I literally just said that. It usually has the business name, the year it was founded, and sometimes a simple design or logo. The seal is used to show the documents are genuine and authorized by the business. I literally just said that, right? And so now that you know the difference between the family seal, right? Now I'm going to edit this text and I'm going to say, use the image above to create my family corporate seal, period. The company name is called, let's call it the Fampreneurs, us, right? It's called the Fampreneurs, which I want, let me see, yep, which, yeah, I'm gonna just call it that. Let's see, what else did it say? To create a hyper realistic family corporate seal. Cool. It was founded in 2024. I'm just using a random year. Let's see, what else does it say? Company name, year was founded. That's it. Let's just click send. And now it's going to create our corporate seal. And it's going to be super dope. I'm letting you know right now. It's about to be super dope. Okay? So we about to go ahead and just break this thing all the way down. I'm going to just be, ooh wee. That looks dope. That looks fire. Oh man, that's actually tough. That's actually tough. Oh, they killed that. They killed. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm excited looking at this. Okay. So this is what a family seal looks like. All I did is convert the family crest into a family corporate seal. It told me the year it was founded. Even though it gave me, different year. I see 2022, 2021. I don't even know why I did that. The family, and I'm guessing this was supposed to be something else. This was supposed to be a name, but we didn't give it a name, of course, right? But this is a seal. So what you would do is you would now use this corporate seal no matter where you go. You would download this. You would take the background out. You would go to, of course, a person that can convert this to a stamp, right? And then any documentation that you have, you're going to be using this to stamp any form of info, okay? Now, if you want to do touch-ups and everything, you can go to Photoshop and actually get this touched up. You can go to Fiverr and have someone else edit this particular, seal to actually make sure that it has the documents on, the names on there correctly, because this is a document, or I'm sorry, this is actually a graphic design. And of course, you want to get this registered with the state. You want to actually copyright this so no one can take this from you. Okay, so this is literally step by step on how exactly we created our seal and our crest. It was that simple. We used AI to actually do it. You can even use Midjourney, y'all. Midjourney will also get the job done. I like ChatGPT because it's very accurate with words. It's a lot more flexible. I can be a lot more specific and not have to worry about making too many adjustments and it never gets the name right. So this is what I would use. This is super dope. I really, really love this seal right here. Curious, if y'all want us to make a seal, if y'all want more videos like this and you want to actually have a seal made for yourself live, and you want me to go live and create a seal, let me know. I'll create one for you. But this is step by step, y'all, how to actually create a family crest and a family seal on demand. You get what I'm saying? To make sure that you all have this. So appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. What's going on, family? Welcome to another video, and today I am going to show you how to copy the government verbatim legally so that you can become the greatest version of yourselves and build generational wealth just like the Rockefellers. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so if you don't really know who I am, my name is Marcus. I am the co-founder and COO of the Fanpreneurs. We pretty much, our mission is to break generational poverty and help families all across the world, impact 1 million families to break generational trauma. And that's something that we are striving for each and every single day. And in this video, this is nothing less than fire. So I want to go ahead and break these things down for you. Okay. So how to actually mimic the government. So I'm going to give you 5 ways on how to mimic the government legally. Okay. So first things first, the left side is the government. The right side is the family. Self-explanatory, right? So here are 5 different ways. And these are very common sense. These are things you can Google. These are things that make sense. All right. So first, the government has a constitution. So guess what we need to have? A constitution, and we call that the family constitution, aka the family charter. Okay, so the constitution is pretty much explaining everything that's going on within the government, the United States, and etc. Right? That's the same thing with the family. It's explaining the history, explaining where we came from, all those things when it comes to our family, just like the Constitution does. It has the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, you know, where they came from, how you should be moving, how, like, it's like core values and traditions and all these other things that are in the Constitution. We need to implement that within our family constitution. Okay. And actually, I'm going to show you all an example of a family constitution. Let's go ahead and show you all this. So this is what a family constitution, this is like a template. If you want to get the template, you can click the link in the description and I'll give this to you absolutely free. Okay. So this is a template is actually a family constitution. Of course, we have our faces up there. This is where your family crest will go, right? Where it says fearlessly forward to new frontiers. That's just your motto as a family. You have your family mission statement, your preamble, just like a constitution would have. A mission statement, just like a constitution would have. Core values, how you're governing your family, right? How you're distributing assets, conflict resolutions, changes, your family history, closing statements. There are so many different things you can add to this actual family constitution that I highly suggest you take this extremely seriously. Okay. And take your time. There's a lot of things that you want to make sure that you have in place when you're putting in this family constitution. All right. So like I said, if you want this family constitution, go ahead and click the link in the description. All right. Next thing, US currency. That's what the government has. This is how they make their money. So how exactly do we make our money on the family side? Our family bank is our currency. We don't have to depend on the government. We can use the currency that we currently have within our family, right? Become a bank within our family, right? So you could say US currency / bank for the government, and you could just say family bank for us, right? And so how we actually are going to be utilizing that is, of course, simple procedures, right? You want to have the trust, the life insurance policy, and you also want to have funding. Right? These are key principles that you want to have to actually build your family bank and a business. Let me first say that a business, you can't build a family bank also without a business, or you can't build a family business without a family bank, right? They're not the same. So you want to make sure you have a life insurance policy, a trust, business funding, and a business to actually have a successful family bank. Okay. And what this is going to do is these core pillars that you need in the family bank, you're going to be able to borrow against it to then be able to invest in other endeavors. Just like if it was a US currency, they got credit, they got dollars, right? They got loans, right? It's the same thing for a family bank, right? So we're using the same exact principles for our own business. Okay. Now, next thing, number 3 branches of government. Okay. Comment below what the 3 branches of government is. Okay. I definitely want to know who has been paying attention in class. All right. So the 3 branches of government, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, is the legislative branch, executive branch, and judicial branch. All right. These are the branches that rule the world in every sector. All right. Now, we need to be able to implement that within our family as well. Okay. So what do we call this? The family governance is also broken down in 3 branches. Okay. So what's our legislative branch? It's our family assembly. These are the people that are actually appointing the executives, appointing the man of the house, I guess you could say, in the family, right? Not really the man of the house, but like the presidents, right? They're appointing, those are the people who are voting, right, to be in a gist. These are your voters within your family, right? They're the ones that's making the laws in the background. They're like your House of Representatives in a sense, right? Next thing is your judicial branch. What is our judicial branch within our family? Our judicial branch is our Council of Elders, aka our advisory council. Okay, the advisory council, these people are designated to make sure the traditions and the stories and the core values are still in place. They're the ones that's making the final say when it comes to decisions, just like a judge would. They judge the person, right? So if someone did bad, they're walking in front of the elders and they're like, I did something wrong. How can we reprimand this? Just like how the Native Americans used to do back in the day. They were implementing the family governance before we were even born. They knew what family governance were, right? So the last thing, the executive branch. What is the executive branch? Now, of course, the executive branch is the president, right? So this is just the figurehead. This person doesn't really do much, but the figurehead of our family is what we would like to call the family council. Okay. So this person is the figurehead. This is the person that has negotiations with the other family and then talks with the elders, and then and the family assembly is the one that appoints the family council, which is the president, right? And so what you want to do is you want to have these three branches of government, not only within the government of the United States or America, right? Because the United States is not a territory. America is. That's a totally different conversation for a different day. But you want to make sure that when you have three branches of government in America, you want to have three branches of government in your family. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Number 4, crests. Now, everyone knows the United States. This is the United States crest. If you're not familiar, this is the seal. A seal, a crest, they're all interchangeable. They mean the same thing. So if this is what they would call a corporate seal. So if the United States has a corporate seal, guess what we need? We need a corporate seal. Okay. We need not only a corporate seal, but we also need a family seal to separate ourselves from everyone else. Okay. So we need a family crest, aka a family seal, or a corporate family seal. Because what this is going to do is this will allow us to be able to send documents just like the English and Queen Elizabeth signed documents. Okay, so let me give you an example. What does the signed documents look like? How they used to stamp letters back in the day, y'all. What they would do is they would use a candle, drop it on the letter, and then use their family seal to stamp it, right? That's how they used to do it. Here it is. Okay, this is how they used to do it. They used to have, and to give you a close-up, they would put candle ink or candle whatever residue on the letter and then use the corporate seal to stamp the letter, and that's how you knew it came from a family member. And that's what you need for your family. You need to have a corporate seal or corporate family crest, and anytime you send a letter, even to the government, to another person, FedEx, whoever, it needs to be stamped with your corporate family seal. And that's how you know that this is the real deal, that you are the real deal as a family member. Okay, as a family in general. Okay, last thing. Government has trusts all over the place. If you're not aware, bankruptcies are a trust. Life insurance is a trust. Your bank accounts are a trust. The trust is a trust. Everything is pretty much a trust in America. So what do you need to operate out of, since the government operates out of it? You need a family trust. And not only do you need a family trust, you need the business trust, you need the ministry trust, you need everything that involves asset protection at its finest. Okay, so you need to make sure that when you're building wealth, you have at least these 5 things in place. Now, of course, if you want to know the other things that are missing on here that obviously I can't think of right now, but I have an entire list, including the Constitution, you can go ahead and join our free workshop. Our free workshop will literally break down how we built a family business from scratch. This will literally break down so many things on how you can do the same thing too. Okay, so I want you to take advantage, click the link in the description, join the actual workshop so you can actually learn how to build a family business from scratch. Like I said, y'all, this is your boy Marcus here with another message. Go ahead, check out the link in the description. It will literally show you everything you need to actually build a family crest. And if you need more, if you need the benefit of the benefit, this will allow you to build generational wealth, allow you to be able to leave your 9 to 5, allow you to be able to retire your mom, your dad, whoever you've been wanting to actually come in contact with, travel around the world without looking at the left side of the menu. So if you want to be one of those type of people, click the link in the description and I will see you on the flip side. Peace. What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode, another video where we pretty much show you everything in regards to building a online business. My name is Marcus. I am what you would call a legacy connoisseur or a business coach for families. I'm here to make sure that you all get the game on how to build a six-figure family business online. If you're wondering what we've done over $1.4 million over 3 years, so it's safe to say that we kind of know what we're talking about. It's me, my brother, my mom, my dad. We all come together to actually build that family business structure with you all. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about life insurance and infinite banking strategies. How do they connect? What is the difference between the two? How can we implement them? And how can we actually use this in our daily lives today? Okay, I'm going to give you all some use cases so you can actually get some examples, and then maybe throw in some insurance places that that I've used or that are some good use cases for you all to use as well. So I'm going to share my screen real quick because I feel like this is important to actually show visually instead of us just talking off the top of our head, right? So let's talk about it. We're going to be talking about life insurance, y'all. More specifically, infinite banking. Okay, that is what we're going to be talking about on this particular video. All right, so I'm going to start from the top, which is life insurance. Okay, if you're not aware, and excuse my handwriting, it's going crazy. If you're not aware, life insurance is broken up into two different ways. You have term and you have what is it called? Permanent. Okay, so term is when you die and permanent is when you're alive. Okay, when you're living. Let's actually put it that way, is when you're living. Now, term, of course, in our culture, let's be honest, in our culture back in the day, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they would only give black people term. They would never give black people permanent. They would never suggest it to them because they knew the power of living and they wanted to keep us under. I remember because my mother told me this, and she actually was in the space. And of course, ignorance at the time, she wasn't aware of the differences between the two, or at least the infinite banking strategies and how it could impact our community. Right? They would only suggest her with black people, only give them terming, with white people give them permanent, right? Which is freaking sad, right? And so I'm going to be breaking down the differences between the two and how they can actually benefit us. So term, like I said, is for death. Usually they'll give you a decent amount of money. So if you were to, pass away, right, they would give you, cash in exchange, right? Now, there are different strategies, and I'll talk about the trust structure as well. Let me write this up here so that I don't forget when it comes to building that family trust and connecting it to the life insurance policy, right? But usually people would just give this to their children, right? And now their children is so wealthy, but then they don't know anything about money. So they don't know how to use it. They don't know how to manage it. So they're pretty much A-OK. They're pretty much SOL, right? And so, but permanent is very simple. You have two types of permanent life insurance policies. You have whole life, and then you have index universal life insurance or life policies, right? Which everyone knows is IULs. Okay. Now, what's the difference between an IUL and a whole life policy? And I'm gonna actually drag this over here so that I can explain them in more detail. Okay. So the difference between the two is whole life is based off the actual insurance company. Okay, it's based off the actual insurance company. I would suggest going with the company that's about 100+ years old when it comes to picking which insurance company you would actually want to have a whole life insurance policy for. Now, back up really quick. When it comes to a term, okay, I'm gonna break this off in classes real quick before I even talk about the permanent. I want to break this off in classes. Okay, so you have lower class, you have middle class, and you have upper class. Okay, with the lower class, I always suggest, no matter what, with the term life insurance policy, that you get a convertible term life insurance policy. What this means is you can convert a term into a permanent. Okay, once you get a certain amount of income. Now, a lot of people are asking, well, how do I know when do I get a term? Like when is how much should I get? Or I'm not making the same amount of money. I don't know if I can get both term and permanent. Like, what is that? Like, what should I do? I think if you're at a lower class level, which is usually 40K below, right? You should be, I'm gonna say 40K and below. I think you should just get a convertible term at this moment in time. That's what I think, personally. If you can afford a permanent, get a permanent, right? But I think at this point, 40K, I mean, if you're making 40K a year, right? 40K a year, if we're going to do the math right quick, right? That's a little less than $4,000. And that's what most people make as well. That's an average person. That's like 3.3K a month, right? You're making 3.3K a month. I mean, let's be honest. Nowadays, you can't even get, if we're talking rent, we're talking utilities, we're talking food, we're talking a car. Nowadays, you need a car. Like, what is it? Meals, mobiles, and a home, right? Like, these are all things that you would need. Your 3.3K is pretty much gone. So that's why I say, like, your rent is probably like $2,000 on its own. With utilities, is probably 500. Food is probably like, you're probably scrounging, so you're probably spending like, I'm gonna say 500, right? Car, I mean, let's be honest, that's gone. All your money's pretty much gone, right? So that your car note is probably like 500, right? 1,000, 1,500, that's 3,500. You're in the negative right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're minus $200. So you would need to get another job just to be able to pay your convertible term, but it's necessary. Or you need to get a side hustle. I would highly suggest to get a side hustle outside of your job, a high ticket side hustle. Okay, high ticket side hustle. I would definitely suggest this. High ticket means that you can make 10K a month, right? That's the goal, is to make that 10K a month. So you need to get a side hustle. You need to make it so you can at least make an extra 1K to 3K per month. And then that'll allow you to be able to afford the convertible term. But starting out, honestly, you probably won't even make 1 to 3K. You'll probably make like a couple $100. So maybe like 300 to 500 per month, right? Starting out. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, this is why I suggest on a lower class side, go with the convertible term first. You need to just be able to have some life insurance policy because you can't really afford anything else. Now on a middle class is usually, and let me actually look up, let me give you some data on this. Average middle class salary, right? Let's actually do that while we're on here. Average middle class salary in one sentence. I'm using ChatGPT, y'all. Absolutely, we're using ChatGPT. 50K to 135,000 annually. Oh wow. So what's lower class salary? You know what I'm saying? Let's figure that out. Okay, so it's 50,000 annually. So middle class is, let's say they say average is like 70K. So let's say 70,000, right, is middle class. So with 70,000, I would get both a term and a permanent life insurance policy. Okay. And then of course, upper class, they say it's like the top 1%. Top 1%, if you're single, is about 400K in a year, right? So of course, I would also get term and permanent. But in this one, I would probably only get an IUL. With this one, I would get both IUL and whole. Okay. I would get both. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is how I would, use the term. And if my income increases from 40K to 70K, guess what? I'm converting that term into a permanent and I'm getting another term. You get what I'm saying? And then when I upgrade from 70K to 400K, then I'm just going to add a whole life. And of course, you can add as many as you want as your income increases. You can have as many life insurance policies as you want. But the key thing here is that you're taking your time with creating wealth. So at this point, you should be having a side hustle to increase your income. You should always have a side hustle to increase your income, because you want to be able to leave that 9 to 5 and make that 10K a month with your side hustle. And then eventually go to the top 1%, which is to make 400K minimum a year. I honestly think that your target should be 10 million to be able to actually have to make the money that you want to make to live comfortably and never have to worry about money and inflation ever again, right? 10 million should be your target. But that is pretty much the term side. So let's talk about permanent. Permanent, like I said, it's based off the dividends of the actual insurance company. Okay, so you are getting dividends from the whole life insurance company. That's why I say you want to pick one that's 100 plus years old, because that means they have history. They've lived through pretty much every recession, every negative thing that's gone on, and positive. Even through COVID that just happened, a few years ago. Who was making the most money? Life insurance companies, right? People were passing away, so life insurance companies was making a killing at the time, right? Everybody was getting a life insurance policy, right? So this is where, you know, it's super important to actually put things into perspective, right? So dividends. So pretty much if you get a, cash value, which they both come with a cash value. Let's say you get a cash value of like 200K. They will pay you dividends of the whole. Let's say the company let's say 10 million a year. They pay you dividends from that 10 million. And of course you pay a premium every single month, right? And the key thing with whole life insurance policies is that they are more expensive. Whole life policies are more expensive. Okay. Now you're paying a high premium that goes towards your cash value, right? And the dividends from that insurance company compounds on top of that cash value. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. So you have pretty much, and I'll explain this here. I'll explain that in a second. Then now let's talk about IULs. IULs is not based on the insurance company. It's based on the market. To be more specific, the S&P 500. So it's based on the S&P 500. So as long as the market grows, your account will grow as well. Okay, that's pretty much what they're saying here. Okay, so they're going to be paying you interest. You're going to be paid based off interest of the market. Okay, and of course it's the same concept. You have cash value and you have premiums. It doesn't change. Premiums is monthly payments, and the difference between an IUL and a whole life is that it's cheaper. It's less expensive. Okay, you can get I've seen people have premiums of like $62 to $80 a month. Here with whole life, you can have premiums that are ranging from like $300 to $500 a month, and probably more than that, if I'm gonna be honest with you, depending on how you actually design the actual policy, right? But everything's based off the interest that you receive from the IUL. Now, IULs used to be where it was very difficult. People used to shy away from IULs because if the market drops, then you lose money. But now it's not the case anymore. When the market drops, you are now just at a break-even level. You just break even. You're just making a little bit of money or none at all. So if you started off, if you have a cash value of 200K and you know that the market moves at 9% per year, or 9 to 21% per year, because of COVID it increased, right? But let's use 9%, and it breaks even, then you're not making 9%. You're making like 0 to 1%. Depending on if there's like a heartbeat fluctuation within the market. You know what I mean? Right? So you're making like 1% or 0%. You're just at break even. You're not losing money, nor are you making money. Right? So a lot of people who had IULs before 2020, they weren't really making money in the beginning of COVID. Right? So that's really where that comes into play. Right? So like I said, when it comes to life insurance policies, this is the basics of how things work. Now, let's talk about how this relates to infinite banking. Okay, how does this relate to infinite banking? And if you're not familiar with infinite banking is just a strategy on how the Rockefellers, the wealthy families, have been able to build wealth over time. Okay, how they've been able to leverage life insurance policy while they're alive to be able to invest in different avenues and stuff of those natures, right? And that's pretty much infinite banking is. Okay, and so what we do is we're going to go back to this cash value that we talked about before. Okay, let's say we actually have a cash value of 200K that we can actually take out of. And if you're not aware, when it comes to life insurance, you have the premium, right? So this is the premium here, and this is the threshold. I always forget what the terminology is of what the threshold is called, so don't judge me for not knowing. But how it works is you pay a monthly premium every single month, and you're not able to borrow against it. Okay, this is the borrowing zone. Okay, you're not able to borrow against it until you pass a certain threshold. Okay, so let's say this threshold is 10K, right? And everything below this 10K, everything below here is you not spending 10K. So you're pretty much just giving back to the actual life insurance company until you pass a certain threshold. Once you pass that threshold, that's when you can actually borrow against the actual policy. And this is the first step of infinite banking. Okay, So that's pretty much how it works. So when we're talking about infinite banking strategies and I say 200,000, this is after the threshold. Okay, you've already passed the threshold. This is money that we're actually able to borrow against to invest in different business ventures. Okay, so let's say we borrow against this 200K. Okay, let's say we borrow against this. The point of an infinite banking strategy is, let's say this is your policy. Okay, you have 200K in your policy and you want to invest in, let's say you want to build a family business, right? You want to start, building into this particular business venture that you want, an online business, right? You want to get into this online business space, right? And you want to be able to, let's say, buy an existing online business or start your own existing online business, right? It doesn't matter. But let's say you want to invest into building a business and you just need the capital, right? You're working a 9 to 5 right now, right? Let's say you're working a 9 to 5 job, right? And you want to be able to invest into this business. What you would need to do as the person here, you would need to go into your policy, call them and say, hey, I'd like to borrow money. Now, of course, you can't borrow the whole 200K. You can only borrow up to 85% of the policy. Okay, you can only buy up to 85% of the policy. So if we were to do the math, let's say $200,000 times 85%, and that's a number that I would keep a healthy number on, right? So that's 170K that you're borrowing from. Now the key thing here is that you're borrowing from this life insurance policy, but the 170K is still in the account, as if it never was removed. This is what you would call uninterrupted compounding. Okay, so even though I'm borrowing the 170K, the 170 is still in this account. Okay, it's called uninterrupted. Even though I borrow it, it's borrowed. Borrowing means that I borrowed it from the account, but in life insurance words, even though I borrowed it, I still have the money there. It's uninterrupted, which means it's still compounding on top of the money on there. So I still have 200K in the account. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to pay it back with interest. Okay. Now let's say that I borrowed 170K. That 170K I'm going to then put into the business venture, right? From that 170K, my goal always is to at least have a 2 to 3x ROI of my investment, return on investment. Okay. 2 to 3x return on my investment. Okay. So 170K times 3 is $510,000, right? That I just made. Now, mind you, I'm only going to put back the 170K that I just told you back into the policy, right? So if that's $510,000 that I invested in, right? That leaves me with 340K positive. And some people think that's a bit aggressive, right? Some people are like, you know what? I just want 20% return on my investment. Some people say I want 50% return on investment. Some people say I just want to be in profit, right? I just want to break even. Me personally, this is just my rule. I want to be able to make an ROI where it's worth it for me. That's just me. So infinite banking is just a strategy. This is not a savings account. This is not a regular way of doing things. The infinite banking strategy allows you to be able to borrow against your policy to be able to invest in different assets that you want to invest in. And the key thing here is that if this 200K, let's just use this. Let's say we never paid back the money, right? Let's say we never paid it back. This 170K is going to be deducted from our cash value. So that means that I will be left with 30K in my policy. Okay. Which means even over time, this is still going to go up. Okay. Even over time, it's still going to go up. I'm going to actually draw that better. A clock, right? Even over time, it's still going to go up. Compound, right? So this is the key thing when it comes to, building infinite banking strategies, leveraging other people's money to be able to, build that generational wealth. Now we're talking about generational wealth. Let's now talk about trusts. What do we do in these type of situations, when we have a trust involved, we have a life insurance policy. We don't want to just have it, like I mentioned before, where all the money just goes to one particular person and then they're just going to run the bag up every single day. And then what's going to happen is they're going to then, after like a couple months, run out of money and they're back to square one. No, what we need to have is a family trust. Put this up under a family trust. Have the trust be the beneficiary and the owner. Okay, be the beneficiary and the owner of the life insurance policy. So you have the family trust up here, and then you'd have the policy down here. Usually people would put the children as the beneficiary. No. We want to put the family trust as the beneficiary, and then we want to have it where the family trust dishes out the money to the person. And so what that does is now the child is able to borrow against the trust, and now the trust is able to now make income, because guess what? The trust can establish other things. It can establish business funding or credit funding in general. It can now start investing in businesses, like we mentioned before, on a grander scheme. It can now start developing what we like to call family office. There's so many different things that come with building wealth, y'all, that you don't even know. It's so crazy that you want to make sure to invest in. Okay, this is something that is super important. So this is where the family trust will come into play. It's very simple. Hopefully this process makes sense. I know I broke down a lot on this video, but this is pretty much everything in regards to how life insurance can play a role. You can invest in different businesses and still make profit at the same time. So I hope this was able to, solve some problems, give a better explanation on how infinite banking and life insurance works, and the visual demonstration as well. So hopefully this helps. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. If you want to learn more about this, click the link in the description. I have a free training that will literally teach you everything about what I just talked about and how to actually get $6 million for your family in funding. So appreciate y'all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
What's going on, family? Welcome to another video, and today we are going to be talking about beneficiaries. Okay, these are things that normally people don't really talk about, and I'm going to really break down in much more detail so you can have a firm understanding on how beneficiaries work, how to actually utilize them, what they actually are, and how you can use that in real practice. Okay, so I got some notes here just to make sure I stay on track, because beneficiaries is a very wide topic. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the history of beneficiaries, and what's crazy is I actually had someone call me out on Instagram one time saying that the SES-UK Act didn't exist, right? Or the SES-UK didn't exist in general in the US. And I'm going to break down that barrier, and then it's going to make sense on how the beneficiaries play into part. So if you're not familiar, in the mid to late 1700s, SES-UK was brought back in place. I believe it was King Henry VIII, who actually, what he ended up doing is, one, there was a whole flood or something like that. Pretty much SES-UK means proof of life. If you're wondering what that is, it's, I believe it's Latin, right? Or it's French, one of the two. But the key thing here is that the SES-UK Act was put in place by King Henry VIII, and what was made was he pretty much wanted every single person to prove that they were alive, because they had such a huge flood that I guess they were having doubts, or whatever the huge history is. I can't really remember the detail of it, but he put this act in place, and it's still in act right now. This was back in Europe, and if you actually understand the laws that are in the US, all the laws are based in English or British or European laws. All our laws are based off European laws, but maybe tweaked a bit more, right? So the guy said, oh, well, SES-UK doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in the US. But do you know the definition of the beneficiary? If you Google beneficiary, other words that describe beneficiary is SES-UK, right? So what they just did is, instead of it being where they called it the act, all they did is rephrase the word SES-UK and called it a beneficiary. And if you're wondering what a SES-UK is, all it is that you know, when it comes to a trust, because the government is just based off of trust, y'all. Like, everything is based off of trust. Your insurance policies are based off trust. There's someone that's a beneficiary. Your personal bank accounts, your beneficiary is yourself, right? And so everything has a beneficiary, right? And so what I want you all to really understand and have a grasp on is that you want to make sure that
you understand what these terms are and what they mean and how to use them to your advantage. Okay. So beneficiary is based off of this SUKV, and pretty much what it means is the government was supposed to be our trustee and we were supposed to be the beneficiary where they serve us. But what ended up happening is that the government switched it and they made it where we serve them. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Right. And so what really needs to happen is that you have to have a firm grasp on the terminology that you're actually going to be learning, right? So let's get right into it. Beneficiaries, in a sense, means SUKV. So if you're not aware, one, everything is contract law. So contract law states that everything has to be written down and stated out as law, right? If it's not written, then it's not law. Okay. So contract law is the most important thing on the planet. If it's not written down, then it doesn't exist. And so everything is based off contract law. Your discounts are based off contract law. When you sign a receipt, that's a contract. When you go to a restaurant, when you do anything, it's based off of a contract, right? And so everything is based off your signature. And if you don't know that you're supposed to be signing in blue and not in black or in red, because black, you can't prove that that's the original receipt, and red is considered blood in the eyes of the law, and that's called hazardous, right? So everything is related to beneficiaries, y'all. Everything is related to beneficiaries. Okay, so how does this work? How does beneficiaries actually matter? Why does it matter? What is a beneficiary? A beneficiary is just a person who actually receives the assets from anything, right? It can be a personal bank account, from an insurance policy, from a Roth IRA account, a 401k, a trust, whatever it is. A beneficiary is just the person that receives the actual assets. Okay. So how this works is when you are establishing a trust, there is something called TCUs and UBIs. Okay. So TCUs meaning trust certificate units, and UBIs meaning units of beneficial interest. This is really just a way of saying that there are shares that are being given from the trust to the beneficiaries. Okay, so pretty much the beneficiaries have shares of the trust. That's pretty much what it's saying, right? And so how it actually works is TCUs and UBIs only work when it comes to common, right? And it may actually work for statutory as well, because you do have revocable trust that may be statutory, and I prefer using irrevocable, that is common law, right? Because it transcends all states. I don't have to worry about my trust not working in another state, right? So how this actually works. So like I said, a lot of people, of course, interchange TCU with UBIs, and pretty much what they are, like I said, is just shares of a trust, and they usually just interchange them, but there's really a minor difference between the two. Trust certificate units are holders ownership. So the people who actually hold and own the trust, own the assets, own your 401k, those are the ones that are ownership. TCUs are the ownership. The UBIs are actually shares in a joint venture, shares within the actual trust, or within the actual what they like to call trust corpus. Right. And so, like I said, you want to make sure that you're using all these things. And so a beneficiary just receives the assets, y'all. But there are purposes within using, like, there are beneficiary purposes. So meaning that beneficiaries and trustees are supposed to be meeting every single year, once a year, to discuss the assets. Beneficiaries are supposed to be having certain criteria, meaning they have to have a certain education level to even be able to receive the assets. Beneficiaries are, if they wanted to borrow against the trust, are supposed to pay the trust back with interest, right? These are some of the things that beneficiaries are supposed to be in charge of, right? Another thing, if someone were to gift anything to the beneficiaries, if the trustees, for example, were to send a gift to the beneficiary's job is to pay for the tax. It's called a gift tax. A gift tax is just literally what it sounds like. I have to pay taxes on the gift that you give me because it's coming out of the trust, right? And so there are certain things that, like I said, beneficiaries are supposed to do. Beneficiaries, their entire job is to receive the assets from any form of contract. Okay. Even when you get a life insurance policy, you have to sign a contract. Even when you have a 401k, you have to sign a contract. Even when you have a trust, you have to sign a contract. Everything is based off of a contract. So beneficiary's job is to just be able to use the assets. I would highly suggest them leverage it to create cash flowing businesses. And then from there, pay it back to the actual trust or contract. And then from there, they're living their best life. The thing that you don't want to create, though, is something called trust fund babies. Okay, so trust fund babies are entitled versions of beneficiaries from a trust. They're just entitled as hell, and they expect things to be given to them. The right way to actually raise your beneficiaries is not to have them become trust fund babies in the quotation marks. Now, of course, every beneficiary of a trust is a trust fund baby because they are literally a beneficiary of the trust. But the terminology of a trust fund baby is the entitlement. We want to make sure that we change that narrative so you do not become entitled. Okay, so this is really everything when it comes to building a, conglomerate of beneficiaries, right? If you want to build beneficiaries, if you want to get everything situated, if you want to make sure you're doing it right, what I want you to do is click the link in the description and make sure that you join that free workshop, right? The free workshop is there for a reason, to give you more game. I'm giving you stuff for free. You might as well go for more free, right? And so go in the description, join our free workshop, actually get some knowledge, learn what we do. And then from there, y'all, we'll tap it. Peace.
If you all weren't aware, I'm actually an ordained minister. And you're probably wondering, you're lying. You're definitely not an ordained minister. An ordained minister definitely was at my church the other day, going ahead and being the person to help us get married and this, that, and the third. Yes, I can do that too. And if you're not aware, I have been an ordained minister for probably over a year now, or about a year now, okay? So I'm gonna give you the tips on how exactly you can become an ordained minister yourself and how you can actually become wealthy and use this as a tax strategy and a way for you to actually build your business and also donate to charity. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So let's talk about the original definition of what an ordained minister is. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so you can see exactly what this is right now, okay? So this isn't this, and if you can see me, I'm right here. So like I said, I'm an ordained minister. This is the definition of ordination, okay? Ordination is a process, right? I'm looking to the right here, is a process by which individuals are consecrated, that is, a set part and elevated by the, I'm gonna say, laity class to the clergy, who are thus then authorized to perform various religious rites and ceremonies, okay? So let's go with the modern version because that's like the old school version, okay? So an ordained minister is a believer who has been appointed by a group of believers to act as a servant to the humanity on behalf of God, okay? That's pretty much the 2024 definition of an ordained minister. I'm one of them. You're probably thinking, so you're telling me that you're Christian? 100% I am. But that's not the reason why I became an ordained minister. I didn't become an ordained minister because I can, perform weddings legally. I can gain free access to different organizations. I became an ordained minister for different reasons, okay? Now I'm going to tell you how you can become an ordained minister, but here are some of the ways that the benefits of becoming an ordained minister, okay? So the benefits is you can officiate weddings, like I just explained before, baptisms and christenings. You can preside over funerals. You can oversee and other spiritual ceremonies. Now, that's the traditional way of why you would become an ordained minister. The other reason why I would become an ordained minister, and I'm gonna go ahead and flip real quick and explain it to you, is because, y'all, you can become an ordained minister by just getting something called a 508c1a, which is a very, very big hack when it comes to building a ministry trust, okay? Big hack, okay? Now, what does this mean? A 508c1a is also part of the IRS code. If you're unaware, you have 501c3 for the nonprofits, but there's 500 codes, okay? There's 500 to, I think, 510 or something like that. There's many of them. I don't know all of them off the top. I just know the ones that pertain to my tax code and what I'm trying to get done. So 501c3 and 508c1a are very similar, but not the same, okay? So 501c3 is dealing with nonprofits. 508c1a is dealing with church and nonprofits. Now you're probably wondering, well, Marcus, I don't have a church, so why would I get a ministry trust? Great question. A ministry trust is not just for a church, y'all. And the church is, you can define whatever church is to you. So the reason why I became ordained is because in order for you to have a 508c1a under a ministry or charitable trust, you have to become ordained as one of the policies and procedures in it, at least how we created it, right? And so when it comes to becoming a ordained minister, it allows us certain benefits. We aren't in the same tax laws or tax codes as a normal individual. We're now under the religious side when it comes to taxes, which means that we can write a bit more taxes off Like, think of it this way. Back in the day, when you had the medieval times and all these other things, what was the most separate parts of the government? Religion and science and politics. These were the most separate sides of things. Now think back, who would always be able to finesse the government? The churches were. Who was always able to kill on arrival because of God and get away with it? The church has, because they have their own laws, they have their own strategies, they have their own tax code. And so it's the same thing now. You can still be able to operate under a church, and you can define that as whatever you want. I can be the church. I can legit have a church. Church can mean something else. Church can mean your hair. Church can mean something. But the point is that you define what church is to you. Now, here's a key point here, right? When it comes to a ministry trust, you also want to have a charity. So when you're starting to build wealth, and I suggest making at least 6 figures before establishing a irrevocable trust, because that's what this type of trust that I'm referring to is, a irrevocable trust. When it comes to that particular point, you want to start making 6 figures or more, okay? Because there are tax implications when it comes to building an irrevocable trust, all right? Now, anything less, if you're making 40, 50,000, I would suggest getting a revocable trust. We also assist with those as well. If you want a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust, go ahead and apply below and we'll show you exactly the next steps. And plus, with those things, if you also want to learn how to build a family business to actually build generational wealth and be able to pass things down to your family the right way using and leveraging trusts, go ahead and click and apply below as well. Now, when it comes to establishing the ministry and becoming ordained, right? Every part of your income, you want to, well, yearly, on an annual basis, you want to donate minimum 5% of your income to a charity, okay? Now, most people would pick Red Cross. Most people would pick a different other charities when it comes to stuff like that when you're making money. Now, and this is why the ministry trust is so important. I can donate to my own charity, right? And guess what my charity is? A family foundation, okay? So I can donate to my own family foundation, and then a foundation, if you don't even know this hack, a foundation you can also borrow against to be able, as a loan, to be able to invest in businesses. AKA, who does this the most? Rolex, right? Rolex, people think is a non-profit. People think it's a for-profit business, and then they thought it was a non-profit business, and it's neither. It's actually a foundation, a family foundation. And a family foundation you can make profit for, and no one needs to know how much money Rolex makes, because no one will ever know how much they really make. There are billions of dollars. They make billions of dollars when it comes to selling watches, but the watches is really not their thing. The foundation, the family foundation is their thing. So if you could duplicate what Rolex is doing and implement that within your business and use the family foundation as a second form of a family banking strategy, then you need to be able to get a ministry trust in place and donate 5% to 60%, because 60% is how much you can max give to a charity per year. And that can be, and there are 2 things you don't get taxed on, y'all: donations and loans. Donations and loans, okay? So if you can donate a portion of your income to your own charity, your own foundation, now you're starting to build a nice little pool, nice little wop up there, you get what I'm saying? And then you borrow against it. That's another way that you can actually build wealth, y'all. That's a whole nother way you can build wealth. And the thing is y'all aren't even aware. People just talk about insurance policies and trust. There's so many other ways that you can get around these things. Trump isn't paying no taxes for no reason, okay? So make sure y'all tap in, become ordained. A way that you can become ordained, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how to actually become ordained. I want to show you, okay? I want to show you. So this is how you become ordained. You want to go to the monastery.org, okay? The monastery.org. And it'll lead you to this page right here. You want to click begin free online ordination, right? And then you want to click begin again. Then you want to put in your name. Once you put in your name, you have now submitted becoming an ordained minister. Now I want you to understand, look at everybody on the right here, y'all. Y'all probably recognize these names. You got Conan O'Brien, Lady Gaga, Rich Branson, Benedict Cumberbatch, right? You got Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. All of these people are ordained. This is a tax strategy. They're not doing this for no reason. They're all ordained, y'all. They just don't ever want to tell you. But they publicize it here on this site. So I want you all to really, really take heed. An ordained minister is the new hack, y'all. It's the new way to do business. See, look, I just showed y'all how to become an ordained minister. I hope this was able to give y'all some value. I hope this didn't go over nobody's heads. If it has, rewatch this video again. If you want more strategies like this, let me know. If you want tax strategies, let me know and I got you. All right, so I hope this helps and I will see you all in the next video. Peace. What's going on, family? Welcome to another video here, and of course I have another banger here with you all. Okay, so you're actually going to be super surprised on this video because this isn't like your normal video where we talk about, you know, normal family business. Actually it is, okay, but it's the information that I'm going to teach you I haven't taught in a very long time, and you all, and my old audience is probably going to love this, but this is something of course we've done in a while, but we never really thought about teaching publicly explained this way. Okay, so more of the story, we're trading again. Okay, I stopped trading for about a year, maybe, yeah, about a year. I had to take a break, you know, mentally. I've been trading for like now going on since 2017, so it's been 7 years since I've been trading, so I had to take a year off. But at the same time, I've literally been staring at the markets no matter what, seeing how the market's been moving, seeing what setups and back testing some things that I would personally take. And I'm going to be completely honest with you all, the markets are looking amazing, and in today's video I'm going to show you all how we actually implement trading within our family business and how you can too. Okay, so let me first state this. One, we're still doing forex trading, crypto trading, these type of things, so I want to be very specific on the type of trading that we are specifically focusing on. Okay, so when it comes to trading, what we are doing is, first things first, let me just tell you the whole roadmap. You don't trade first until you have some income. I know past videos, yes, I leveraged credit to get into trading 100%. I still believe in that model, by the way, but I firmly believe that you can still fall short of getting in debt leveraging that model. And if you don't have the right skill set, the right mentor, and if you don't get the results the way that you need to in a quicker time span, which is highly unlikely, you're going to be SOL and you're going to be in serious debt. So what we highly suggest in 3 steps is you first, of course, is get your credit together. Then you get funding. Then you get into an online business and you integrate your family involved. So you create an online family business, and I'm gonna add more because I'm thinking of this and I'm separating pieces. But you repair your credit, you get funding, you build an online family business, or you can buy a business, whichever route you want to take. I got videos explaining those. And then fourth thing is you start protecting your businesses, okay, with family trusts, with a lot of different asset protection strategies. Of course, we've broken down in past videos. And then once you protected it, then this is when you want to start having your family trust and your family bank start creating wealth on its own. And in 2 ways that we're actually able to do that is, of course, leveraging index funds, going to the S&P 500 and investing that route. Another way, which is a bit more active income, but it allows you to make money in your sleep once you learn the skill set, is trading. Okay, so once you've actually started protecting and building wealth via online family business, and then you've started protecting that wealth with trusts, now we need to start focusing on the trading side and the long-term investing side. I think this is a better formula to learning the skill set of trading, as well as being able to not worry about money when you're trading, because a lot of issues with trading is that you worried about the income. Oh my god, if I put money in here I lose it, and it's a wrap, and I gotta go work, and I'm at square one, and it's just not a fun experience. So that's why we started leveraging building a business first, get some cash flow first, then leverage that cash flow to get into trading, and of course after the protection and everything that I mentioned, and then from there, that's when you're actually able to trade. But that's pretty much the steps that I wanted to break down. Enough of the chit chat. I want to go ahead and break down a trade that we've actually been able to get into. Well, me personally, I got into this past week and some change, maybe a week or 2 weeks now. I've been in this trade, and so I want to kind of break this down so you all can kind of get an understanding. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let me go ahead and swap this over so that you can understand how we do this. So this, hopefully y'all can still see my entire screen here, and hola, I'm in the corner. But how I'm doing this right now is, this is UCAD, okay? And I'm going to break down how exactly, and currently I'm still in this trade as of right now, as of August 26, 2024. I entered into this trade the 8th. I entered it probably around the 9th-ish, probably the 9th. I entered into this trade, and I've been holding this trade for these past couple of weeks, okay? Now, I'm going to break down how exactly my analysis on how I got into this trade, okay? That's what I'm going to break down on here. So I'm going to actually open up another USD CAD, but in a different broker so that I don't mess this particular one up. Okay, so we're going to do FXEM. Cool. We're gonna mess that up. FXEM. I'm gonna get into that one. Actually, can I even add that in here? Let's think about this real quick. Can I even add that? That's a wonder. Let me just actually just go to the trade. Now they've made so many updates on here since the year that I haven't even been in this thing that it's been catching me off guard. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so one, I think I have indicators on here, which I don't want. No indicators. There we go. Okay, so let's actually run this screen all the way back. Okay, so let's go to the weekly, or we can actually go to the monthly. I like to start on the monthly monthly, I like to get a very, very wide view, and I'll show you all my strategy as well, so you know exactly how I get into trades. So this will be kind of like an updated, you know, strategy video at the same time. Like I said, I trade, of course, I've been trading for 7 years, but now it's just more part of the family business aspect and individual aspect, just because it really helps build passive income, or passive active income. I don't believe in passive, but like active income when it comes to the family trust. It just allows us to be able to do a bit more things, and it's a skill set that I will forever know. So on the monthly, I'm paying attention. Actually, let me replay this. Boom. So on the monthly, I see this blue candlestick, right? I see this blue, I mean, not blue candlestick, I'm thinking old candlesticks. I'm seeing this green candlestick, and what I did is I saw, okay, we're reaching up into some highs, right? And so what I did is, I'm always big on patterns, y'all. So I'm gonna always draw out patterns no matter where I'm at, right? That was the wrong line. No matter where I'm at. And I see that overall, y'all, that this is a bullish flag, okay? This is a bullish flag. So you have impulse, correction, continuation. And I see this reaching these highs. Overall, this won't happen for years, but this is what I'm overall seeing with UCAT. Okay, this is what I'm overall seeing. I don't really focus too much on the news, but this is what I see on the higher time frame. And I know that news just moves the way that it expedites the move that it's already going to make, in my personal opinion. So now that we have the monthly and we know that we're reaching highs, I'm now going to go to the weekly. And on the weekly, I see a couple things, right? Like I said, we're reaching highs up here. I also see that we have a channel forming, right? We have a nice channel forming on here. Then of course we can see it coming down to this low. Again, on a higher perspective, I see a bullish flag, but of course I see this coming up here, dropping down, coming into these lows, right? And then possibly moving up, or it could drop down here, bounce up, and then come back, right? It has so many options on where it could go, but overall, this is what I drew on that time frame, right? Then I went down to the daily, and I was like, oh, this is reaching this high now. We're reaching some highs here, right? And then if we continue, right? If we continue to move this, I saw this break this high, but also test this high. It retested 3 times. It went 1, 2, 3, right? It also broke this high, but also came back down and wick. And because of this wick, I was like, oh, we're selling for sure. Oh, we're selling for sure. So all I needed to see was an opportunity, right? That's really the only thing I needed to see. Yeah, so I saw this opportunity, and that's really the only thing I needed to see here, right? And so what I did is I went down to the 4 hour. I really only take trades on the 4 hour. I rarely take trades on the 1 hour unless the 1 hour trade is like the cleanest trade ever, okay? So what I was looking for was maybe something like an impulse, maybe a flag, and then the continuation to the downside. How this was moving though, as I could see this move back up a little bit, maybe test these highs and then break back down. This was my option. This was like some of the options that I was looking at. So I was looking at this, I was like, oh, this is becoming impulsive, right? If we can kind of break this low here, right? And I'll use this as an example. If we can kind of break this low here, then I can kind of see us coming down, giving us a bearish flag by retesting and then dropping, right? So that was kind of like what I was looking for when I was trading. I was like, okay, we're still not touching, we're still not breaking, but then we finally broke. I was like, okay, we're about to be in the game. So this started moving, right? And I was like, okay, we're waiting for a flag, waiting for some things. It started impulsing. I was like, wait, am I gonna miss the move? No, it started doing what I needed it to do, and it started building a bearish flag, like I was mentioning, right? I just needed so to break down the flag that I saw once that pushed up, I started drawing this flag here, and I was like, okay, I see where this is going. Let's go ahead and see if price can touch this high and give me a candlestick worthy enough on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, worthy enough for me to enter into this trade. Okay, so I saw this, and I was like, okay, we touched this high, but it wasn't clear. On the 1 hour, I didn't see a clear candlestick. So I mean, on the 4 hour, I didn't see a clear candlestick, but I did see on the 1 hour a very clear, like I said, I'll only take trades if it's very clear, a very clear bearish pin bar. So that's where I actually entered. I actually entered a little bit later because I was out doing something, but I still wasn't too far. But I had about a 20 pip stop loss, right? A 20 pip stop loss. And I was like, okay, we're in the trade. Let's do it. Killing the game right now. And this is one of the trades that I've been eyeing UCAD for weeks. I thought I missed out on the move because I was opening, because now I don't trade on, I used to trade on Hugo's way. Way. I no longer trade on Hugo's Way. I no longer trade on MetaTrader 4. I trade on TradingView. And so it took a while for Owanda. I use Owanda as a broker, and I'll link the broker down in the description as well, just for you all. But I was using Owanda, and it took a while for Owanda to approve me, and I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get in this trade as well. Luckily, they approved me in time. I was able to make some funds, and deposit some funds into the account, and this is what allowed me to get into this trade. So I was like, okay, this is a solid trade. I can see this bare minimum come into these lows and then absolutely come down to these lows. And I already showed you how far this could go on the higher time frame. This could go all the way down here. So I was like, yo, that's a 31 to 1 risk to reward ratio, right? And I was like, oh, this is an ideal high probability trade. I would take this trade every day with my eyes closed. No hesitation, right? No hesitation. All right. So I was like, this is exactly what I'm looking at. Exactly what I'm looking for. And then the market just started doing its thing, right? Now, I was worried at one point because it did go down, but then it started coming back up. Mind you, my stop loss is up here. Now, I did manipulate the stop loss a little bit, and I think I was trailing on the 1 hour, or I was looking more on the 1 hour, but I was definitely trailing on the 1 hour. And I was like, okay, we got a bit of a wick here. Or really what I was looking for, what I saw at first. And like I said, I'm just explaining my thought process with this, is I started to see like a bearish channel, right? A descending channel, excuse me, a descending channel. And I was like, this could really bounce up, wick me out, maybe retest the way that I was referring to, and then drop, right? That's really what I was seeing throughout the entire time. But it didn't do that, right? I was worried, but it didn't do that, right? It actually started playing out, started doing what it was supposed to. I was getting a bit frustrated a little bit because I was like, yo, this is not frustrated, but a bit worried a little bit, because I did see it starting to range. It started actually ranging and all that. It didn't really move, and then it moved. And I was like, yeah, we trailing it to break even. So how I move my stop loss nowadays, right, is as soon as we start breaking lows, as soon as we break a low, that's when we start moving it to break even. And so what I did is I moved my stop loss to the break even point right about here, right? And it actually broke a little bit here, but I didn't see that earlier. Actually, I did, and I moved it to break even. When it got up to this point, a bit of emotion came in. I moved it back up to my stop loss above here. And then after a couple hours, I got I was able to be logical again. And so I moved it back to break even, because my rules state as soon as it breaks a low, you move it to break even. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not perfect as a trader, but 9 times out of 10, I follow what the rules say. Okay, so definitely went down and executed this trade. Long story short, we in this thing. So if we go back to UCAD here, go back to where we're at right now, I've been in this trade for weeks. I have trailed it to here, and now I'm here. Okay, and I'm going to continue to trail, and as long as it keeps breaking lows, I'm going to continue to trail the stop loss. Okay, and that's what I want you all to focus on when it comes to trading. This is just my thought process. This is how I've been trading. I only trade patterns. I don't trade anything else. So this is just something that I do. I naked trade. I don't do anything super fancy. So my rules when it comes to getting into a trade is, and I may use it MACD for divergence, but that's it, right? And I barely even use that. As you can see, it's not even on my screen. I don't even use it, honestly. But the rules when it comes to trading, just so you all can understand my rules, is it's this, right? Number one is I look for a pattern. I need a pattern. That's the first thing. I look for a pattern. Number two, I need bare minimum 2 touches. So as you can see, when I was breaking down 2 touches, I had 2 touches at this high here. And then I'm looking for number 3, clean candlestick pattern. Okay, that's what I'm looking for, if I'm gonna be quite honest with you. There are different variations of this strategy. So for example, if I get a shallow bearish or bullish flag, then I will take it. That's when I will do more of a sell or buy stop, because I just know how clean that flag is, and I've seen it so many times based off experience. I will just do a sell or buy stop and then just take the trade. But my ideal preferred way of taking a trade is looking for a pattern, having it have minimum 2 touches, and I get a clean candlestick. And this is of course either on the 1 hour or the 4 hour. I love the 4 hour. This is just me. I have a way better confirmation on the 4 hour. I feel way more confident on the 4 hour. Now mind you, I'm a bit more of an aggressive trader. So for me, I take clean candlestick patterns at the peak of the height. I don't wait for another flag to form inside of a flag for me to take a trade. I don't wait for any of those extra things that most people do. I'm a bit more aggressive. aggressive and I'm more probable, right? I know that if I take this trade 10 times, I'm gonna win 8 out of those 10 times or 6 out of those 10 times. As long as it's higher than the other, then I'm profitable, right? So this is just how I particularly trade. This is just what I really like when it comes to trading on the foreign exchange market. Hopefully you all were able to get some value. Like I said, this is what we do to be able to build more generational wealth for our family business. Because honestly, our mom, if it wasn't for our mom, I would never know this skill set. This is a skill set I will forever know. And this is something that you need to pass on to your children. I highly recommend that you learn how to trade Forex. It is a skill set that doesn't involve people and it doesn't involve anybody. So you can make money online that involves people, and then you can also not make money online and just go strictly off of, you know, trading. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to break this down, y'all. Hopefully you were able to get some value off this. If you want more trading videos just like this and you want to learn how we actually implement this within our family, hit me up. Let me know in the comments below if you want more content like this. I know my old audience is probably enjoying this, but appreciate y'all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.